You're listening to Miami Hockey on Red Hawk Radio. Good evening and welcome to the Goggin Ice Center in Oxford, Ohio. I am Will Salzarulo, and this is your pre-show matchup. Tonight's contenders are the Miami RedHawks versus the St. Cloud Huskies in Game 2 of the series at home for Miami. Miami is coming into this matchup with an 8-3 overall record and a 2-3 conference. St. Cloud's coming in with a 6-7 overall and a 1-4 conference. These two played last night. It was a sloppy game on both teams. Miami kept on letting St. Cloud score after getting the advantage. It was a very physical game, a lot of roughing penalties, a lot of not unsportsmanlike conduct, but a lot of extracurricular activity at the end of each whistle. There were 6 penalties from both teams, and Coach Noreen of Miami said not to let St. Cloud on the power play. St. Cloud has one of the best power plays in the NCAA with almost 33%. Miami won the game in overtime thanks to Mateo Giampa. This is the first time Miami beat St. Cloud since 2022. Starting lineups for Miami in the forward positions, we have Coach Adelik, Ilya Morozov, and Mateo Drobak. In defense, we have Kyle Coyne and Michael Phelan. And in goal, of course, as always, Mateo Drobak in net. For St. Cloud, Austin Bernavec, Tyson Gross, and Barrett Hall. For defense, Copper Wiley, Maxim Malonsky, and in goal, Patrick Bernaveras. Oh, shoot. I just switched tabs. So, last night, Miami beat St. Cloud for the first time since 2022. Goggin Ice Center was sold out last night for the first time in 10 years. You know, being from Oxford, me and Luke West Poley, we remember when almost always it was full, especially during the Blasey era of Miami hockey, the longest tenure in program history. Miami is 3-0 for overtime this season, getting 2 of those against Lindenwood, with both games of that series going into overtime. 6 different RedHawks scored last night, which is the first time this has happened in quite some time. Miami hasn't outshot a team by over 15 shots since 2023. Now, that's since yesterday. So will Miami outshoot St. Cloud? Only time will tell. Some keys for Miami's success tonight. Miami needs to get a good grip on penalties. They did not do they didn't do a great job taking penalties. They got 6 last night. Faceoffs, Miami did pretty decent with faceoffs. Now, Miami typically is not great when it comes to the faceoff, but they did pretty decent. They're 37 to 30. They've lost 37 faceoffs, but they've won 36. And outshooting doesn't mean anything if you can't score. Miami outshot St. Cloud considerably by 68 to 49. While that sounds great on paper, only 6 of those made it to the back of the net. Some players to watch for St. Cloud. Gavin Thorson led the Huskies last night in goals with 2. And for the RedHawks, David Deputy, who was the second star of the game, got his first goal last night and had 2 points on the score sheet with 1 goal, 1 assist. Also in the NCHC, Denver's at Arizona State. Minnesota Duluth at Colorado College, and Western Michigan is at Omaha. Quite an NCHC-packed weekend. That's about all the time we have for the pre-show lineup. I've been your host, Will Salzarulo. Later, I'm going to hand it over to play-by-play by Luke West Poley and color commentary by Aiden Stones. I've been Will Salzarulo, and you're listening to Miami Hockey on Red Hawk Radio.
Night 2 of an emotional series for the Miami RedHawks after a win in front of a capacity crowd yesterday. The RedHawks look for an NCHC sweep and try to improve to 500 in the conference. After a wild overtime affair yesterday, the RedHawks face off with the St. Cloud State Huskies on night 2 of the series. Alongside Aiden Sones, Poley with you Saturday night here in Oxford. Good crowd filing in again here on Cradle of Coaches weekend. Black uniforms once more for Miami. Yesterday in nearly every facet, Aiden, one of the better home games we have seen in some time. Biggest crowd since 2015. Absolute chaos from the start. A lot to clean up from a schematic standpoint for Miami, but absolutely cannot fault the effort. You got the results you wanted.
Yeah, besides a few key mistakes that happened, about 3 of them throughout the game, which led to some costly goals, Miami seemed to outplay the opponent pretty well throughout the entire game.
And for the RedHawks, a 6-5 win yesterday off an overtime winner from Mateo Giampa. The RedHawks led 2-0, 3-2, 5-3 after a couple of goals in quick succession, but then gave up 2 goals on a 4-on-4, about a minute and a half apart with under 5 minutes to go in the game. St. Cloud tied it on the road. They delivered a punch back to every single one of Miami's leads until the final one. The RedHawks controlled for all of the overtime period. They've played 3 overtimes this year. Ethan Hay has won the opening draw of all 3, and in all honesty, Miami really has not let their opponent touch the puck much, if at all, in a 3-on-3 this season. The RedHawks improved to 3-0 in sudden death overtimes this year with the win yesterday. For the St. Cloud State Huskies, with the loss, they dropped to 1-4 in the NCHC, and Brett Larson's team got outplayed pretty badly in the opening 20 minutes. Short things up a little bit as the game went along, and they were very opportunistic. But again, overall, effort-wise, were outplayed for the majority of that game. Their skill shined, though, picking up goals off of a few costly Miami turnovers to tie the game. They're hoping for a much better effort here on night 2 to get that to the level of their execution yesterday. Huskies have made 1 lineup change. Jack Rogers out and Damon Gardner in. The draft choice of the Vancouver Canucks transfer from Clarkson makes his 11th appearance of the year and slots in on the right wing on the 4th line. For Miami, they make 1 change. It's to the extra skater. RedHawks did a rare thing yesterday in that they started a 13th forward. That is not the case here tonight, as John Emmons is a scratch for Miami this evening, and Owen Lalonde jumps into the starting lineup to play his first game as a member of the Miami RedHawks. And that sets the table for this second night of the series between Miami and St. Cloud State. Toss things off to Scott Schreiber with public address for your national anthem. Puck drop between the RedHawks and Huskies coming up next on Red Hawk Radio. About to drop the puck on night 2 of the series between Miami and St. Cloud State. Glad you're with us. Luke West, Poley, Aiden Sones with you here on Saturday night from Oxford. Tonight's officials, same referees, Andrew Wilk and Andy Thackaberry. Cade Blessing is the first linesman, and much to the delight, I'm sure, of the Miami student section, Eric Frank is here. He was not on the crew yesterday, but slots in as the second linesman of this NCHC crew here tonight. Starting goaltenders for Miami, it's Mateo Drobak that again starts for the RedHawks. He's played every minute of every game this year. 12th start of the season for Drobak. 8-3 record, 3.35 goals against average, and an .893 save percentage. Mentioned an opportunistic St. Cloud State team, and that is why statistically Drobak's numbers took a bit of a hit yesterday, but still played pretty well, especially in the early part of that game to keep Miami in front. St. Cloud State makes a change in their goal. Jan Shostak started yesterday, and now they move things to Patrick Burzins, who was the backup at Maine last year, only appeared in a couple of games. This season, he has split time and carries a 3-2 record, 205 goals against average, and a .937 save percentage. He's a native of Tulsa, Latvia, and again, transferred over from Maine in the offseason. And in a former day, played for Anthony Noreen. He was on the Tri-City Storm for part of the 22-23 season, splitting time between them and the Danbury Junior Hat Tricks of the North American Hockey League. Miami and the All Blacks, St. Cloud and the All Whites. Just like yesterday, puck is on the ice and we are underway. Huskies go left to right to begin, dumping it into the offensive zone. Again, it was a strong start for Miami yesterday, something that I'm sure St. Cloud will want to pick up as the puck skitters through the slot, but the first one to it is Miami's Mateo Giampa to loft it past center. Coach Adelic applying some forecheck for the RedHawks. That was another area where Miami gave St. Cloud fits yesterday, but they do get it through center. Lights are going down. Lights have turned off as the puck was on the boards on the far side. And that causes play to be whistled dead. 30 seconds in. We'll have a face-off in Miami's end zone on the far side of the ice. Both teams go for changes. Kind of a slow fade to black for the Lights, and they were going to play through it until they came all the way down at the level they are when the Zambonis are on, which is barely visible. And so they blow the play dead. Face-off on the far side. Second line's out there for each team. And the face-off is controlled by the RedHawks off the win by Max Helgeson. Clearing attempt, though, is held in the zone, and a wrister from the left point by Finn Loftus. Handled by Dromak, it rolled down his glove, but he still covers up before the puck hits the ice. 6 seconds between whistles, 19:24 to go first period. St. Cloud with the game's first shot. Huskies seeking to avoid losing their 5th straight game. They win the face-off, but completely miss the puck, and David Deputy skates onto it and chips it into the offensive end for Miami. Burzins out of his net to play it along the near side. Clearing attempt for St. Cloud. Does not connect through the neutral zone, looking for Ernest. It's down for icing. 50 seconds in, and a very choppy 50 seconds without a whole lot of flow. Miami elects to take the draw on the right side of the ice in the offensive zone, and the third line out there for Miami. Stupka, Nasson, and Grimes with Lukashevich and Quinn for the RedHawks. Stupka on the draw. Working against Nolan Rode, freshman who played in Tri-City last year. Face-off win for Miami, and Michael Quinn with a snapshot from the center point. That flies high. Picked up off the end wall for the RedHawks by Justin Stupka. He sends it around the net for Nasson and further along up to the right point for Lukashevich. Wrister deflects in front, controlled by Nasson. He circles the net to the near side and swipes it in deep, where the RedHawks go to work against the Huskies below the goal line. Chipped up the near wall. Thorson got crunched. RedHawks take it away. Stupka again flings it in behind. Nasson skates after it in the far corner. Clearing attempts knocked down at the blue line by St. Cloud, but then they whack it forward and it goes all the way down for icing as Rode just kind of poke-checked that puck, and it got enough momentum behind it to take it all the way down the ice, and St. Cloud was trying to change, and Brett Larson is not happy that that was called as he's yelling at Eric Frank, the linesman, that should have been waved, the way the puck kind of ping-ponged between the two teams. But tired legs out there for St. Cloud as Miami takes an ozone draw on the left side of the ice. 18:32 to go, first period. We're scoreless. Top line out there again for Miami, and Ilya Morozov sends the faceoff to the near wall, where St. Cloud grabs it, and Thorson clears as far as neutral. Miami pushes it back in. Only one Husky can change. And that sends Grant a shot over the boards for St. Cloud. A coin, meanwhile, on the left point. Rister got deflected by Rode high and into the glass along the end wall. An attempt to flip it out by Ashan got knocked down by Giampa, but it is directed further and cleared all the way down by Gavin Thorson to finish out the change for the Huskies. Hit the 2-minute mark, first period. And Miami misplays it out at center ice, but St. Cloud misplays it going the other direction, trying to rush, and so they can't do so. The RedHawks pump it into the Husky end. Regroup for St. Cloud. Ryman across the center red. He tried to just backhand shovel that into the offensive zone, and it angled on him out of the rink and into the seats. Whistle with 17:46 to go in the first period, and the draw will be conducted at center ice.
Yeah, even though the RedHawks aren't playing necessarily from a sellout crowd like it was yesterday, the energy is still here in this arena, and the RedHawks clearly show that.
About 75% full at the moment. Looks like a lot of people in the turnstiles right now that are still awaiting file into the arena. Off the face-off, the puck just goes right into the St. Cloud bench, and so we get another stoppage. Slow moving for 17:41. Face-off on the far side of the ice, neutral zone. Hay against Werner Miettinen. Hay wins it for Miami, their best face-off man. RedHawks fire it into the offensive zone. St. Cloud breaks it out, though, quickly with speed. Through neutral ice comes Damon Gardner, the new addition to the lineup for the Huskies. He didn't play yesterday. He dumps it into the offensive end. Drobak out of his net to throw it down the ice, and the goalie iced the puck there for Miami. And more slowdown in the action with 17:22 to go in the first period. Just one shot. It was a weak wrister from the point. About a minute into the game, we've had very little action. Game on the St. Cloud side, we have no score. Face off on the near side of the ice. Top line out there for the Huskies against Miami's fourth line. Walker, Hay, and Mikan, the three playing up front for Miami. Hay wins the draw. Sean McEwen skates it around the near side circle and chips it as far as center, where it got between the legs of Mikan. RedHawks, though, still get part of their change done. St. Cloud back the other way, and Bernovic spins to dump it into the offensive zone. Huskies pinch RedHawks below the goal line. Miami, though, skates it up the near wall. Lukashevich fanned on a clearing attempt, and the puck skitters back into the corner where McEwen is on it for the RedHawks. Dita Lukashevich behind the net. David Deputy chops it along the wall, and now it's flung forward for a one-on-one up the ice for Helgeson. Drives the net. His shot, a shoulder save made by Berzins, and Helgeson went crashing into the net as he was being ridden by Max Smolinski. But a quick burst of speed there for Max Helgeson to get by the defenseman and at least go for the shot. Tried to do something similar to what we saw in the game-tying goal late for St. Cloud yesterday. Just take a step to the inside and hope to find the far post, but Berzins equal to the task on Miami's first shot. Faceoff comes out of the zone. Miami is protesting that, saying Helgeson was pushed, but refereeing crew decides that because Helgeson caused the stoppage, the faceoff comes out. Puck is jammed on the faceoff dot for a while, then pulled back by Miami all the way on their own goal, where Drobak spins it around his own net. Sent back in by St. Cloud. Lukashevich D to Michael Quinn. He touches it between the legs up the half wall where the Huskies take away. Reiners shoots from the right point. That's blocked by Smith into the near corner. Now the puck comes back up to Smith in the left circle, and he skates it out to center. Chipped it along, but the puck got by him going the other way, and now the Huskies trying to do some work. It's Ryan Rosborough, the redshirt senior, that skates around the net but has teammates changing and just gets bumped off the puck as the RedHawks move it to the neutral zone. Stuka pokes it into the offensive end for Miami. Joe Belisle, the extra skater, on it for St. Cloud, but the Huskies cannot clear as it's held in on the right point by Kasper Nassen for the RedHawks. Thorson skates it around into the near corner, banks it off the near boards. Got too far for Rode, but does get out to center. Miami coughs it up just outside their own blue line. Rode spins, throws it to the slot bunch of RedHawks there, and it's chipped up into the hand of Casper Nassen, who gloves it down and flips it to center. Driven back in by the Huskies, puck bouncing awkwardly along the end boards. Miami handles it, and Doug Grimes tries to skate it through center. He's tangled up with Thorson, who now toe drags the puck free. Thorson steps into the offensive zone, feeds it left, shot through the slot by Ernest, intended as sort of a pass. Got too far for everybody, ends up in the corner. Grimes, though, gave it away in the high slot as Miami can't clear. Again, it's sent to the back door, but no Huskies there, and a one-timer sprung out of the corner. Smolinski had that shot that flew high. RedHawks grab it and clear. Nassen finishes out Miami's change. Rode brings it back in, cross-corner dump to the far side. It hits Coach Adelik in stride to chip it out to center. Now Ilya Morozov almost had a step. Good defensive work to keep him at bay by Cooper Wiley, preventing a potential 1-on-0 situation. Puck in the referee's crease along the red line near side. Huskies grab it, trying to chip it in. McEwen knocks it down. Puck was in the skates of Adam Ingram, who could have jumped that for a 2-on-1 for the Huskies, but could not. And now the RedHawks take it the other way. Giampa working 1 against 2, drags and shoots from the right side. And it's gobbled up by Berzins, who hangs on. 14:22 to go first period. Just shy of the first immediate timeout. Shots are 2-1 in favor of the RedHawks, and we're scoreless. Face off to the right of Patrick Berzins. Or the left, rather, on the right side of Miami's offensive zone. Berzins making his 9th appearance of the season for St. Cloud, who has actually had the bulk of the duties, although has been splitting time. He's out handling the puck behind his own net, and a little bit scary there with Giampa bearing down on him, but he guides it safely to the near side and out to center. RedHawks on the regroup. Morozov drives down the middle. Dangles left. Morozov pushing into the corner. Throws a hard pass to the high slot. Delic grabs it, skates to the near boards. Delic twisting and turning along the near wall. Delic skates it to the middle. Throws it to the near boards. That was almost intercepted by Mietin, and he was aiming for Giampa. Got by them both. Ends up behind the net for Morozov, and he sent a pass intended for Delic on the far boards. It hit a Husky skate and ended up in front of the net. But St. Cloud gets to it first and clears. Delic almost got hit hard with a puck in his skates as Zinger came after him. But now Miami tries to break the other way. Ethan Hay attempted to thread it to Delic and was unable to do so. Huskies get it into the offensive zone, but a drop pass goes awry. RedHawks, though, push it back into their own end, which means some offside Huskies are relieved of that. St. Cloud, though, can't keep it in for long as Miami skates it the other way. Mikan into the offensive zone, throws it on net from a sharp angle. That's sticked aside. Now a one-timer by a coin. May have hit his teammate in front, and Bradley Walker. A wired shot by a coin. Guy that his teammate Mateo Giampa said, even though he's been a defensive defenseman his whole career, feels like he's close to getting one. And it's cleared out by St. Cloud, who now regroup. Long pass fired ahead, and a chance from the left side for Rosborough got lost. Shoulder saved by Drobak. Huskies still with it with a wrister for the left side by Belisle, and it's snapped up by Drobak, who freezes it with 12:38 to go in the first. Shots even at 3 aside, no goals yet here on the second game of the series, second night of the series between Miami and St. Cloud. We're back to a crowded Cady Arena after this. You're listening to Miami Hockey on Red Hawk Radio. 12:38 remaining opening period. Much slower start than what we've had yesterday. Team stuck in the mud a little bit offensively. We are scoreless tonight from Cady Arena. Not as crowded at puck drop as it was yesterday. Still not quite as crowded as it was as a whole last night, but the crowd has filled in nicely. This will be close to a sellout. Again, the crowd yesterday, over 3,400 here. Biggest crowd since 2015. That was the year that Miami made their last NCAA tournament. Face-off win in the offensive zone for St. Cloud, and a shot from the left point by Wiley is smothered in front by the RedHawks. Credit the shot block to Michael Phelan as St. Cloud holds the zone. They push it in behind the RedHawk cage. Phelan on it in the near corner. Smith threads it through the center for Helgeson, who skates it out to center. Helgeson enters the offensive zone. Backhands it around the boards to the far side. Deputy waiting on it there, but it gets by him on the half wall, and the Huskies break it out. Step to the left for Rode, leaves a drop pass there. He was looking for a teammate, but found David Deputy instead. Deputy, though, turned it over just outside the blue line. It was brought back in by St. Cloud offside. And Ernest and Smith exchanged some pleasantries as stops the clock with 12:08 to go in the first period. No goals yet. Miami's blocked 4 shots. Just shy of 8 minutes gone in this opening period. Face-off win for the RedHawks in the neutral zone. Lukashevich almost gave it away, but he gets a second chance to whack at it, and the RedHawks do evade pressure and get it out of the zone. Kasper Nassen had to tag up on the blue line as he was pressuring on the forecheck. Could not grab that puck and skate it in for a potential rush that allows the Huskies to go the other way. And they chip it into the offensive zone. Along the end wall, pulled free by Michael Quinn. Bouncing puck sent up the far wall, gets past the RedHawks intended and back to St. Cloud's defense. Shot from behind the red line, but enough RedHawks in the area to negate the icing. Miami regroups, long pass ahead. Doug Grimes tried to one-touch it to the middle of the ice looking for Stupka, but he fanned on it. RedHawks pull it back to their defensive blue line again. Feed up the far wing off the stick of Coach Delic. Now whacked up the boards where Delic gets on it for Miami. Ilya Morozov throws it back towards his own end. Drobak comes way out of his cage to go get it, and he backhand paddles it behind the net as Miami wraps it around the far boards. Giampa through the middle of the ice for Morozov. A RedHawk is offside. That's Delic, who tripped and fell. So Miami has to go back with it, and now McEwen tries to dump it in, and he got stick checked by Gross, and that puck goes flying up into the student section about 10 rows high. 10:52 to go, first period. And we are still scoreless. For Miami, yesterday they broke an 8-game winless streak against St. Cloud. And their last win came in 2022 in this building. 5-0 thumping on Saturday night of the Huskies. Puck sent into the offensive zone by St. Cloud off the faceoff. Miami trying to break out, but Delic couldn't catch the feed. Zinger holds it in on the right point. Gardner working for some room, drives towards the net, throws it back to the point for a drive by Zinger. That may have caught Drobak or at least somebody in front. Hard rebound came out to the high slot. RedHawks get to it. 2-on-2 up the ice. Delic steps to the middle. Giampa was offside. So Giampa was just kind of curling and twisting along the blue line and couldn't keep the back foot behind the blue. Did keep it on the ice, but that does not matter in college. Miami learned that in the overtime win against Lindenwood, one of them where Ilya Morozov's overtime winner, had it been in a USA Hockey game, would have been called back for offside, but in college, you do not need to have your foot down for it to be considered in an onside position as long as it's on or behind the blue. Rode gets booted from the face-off on the near side in the neutral zone. Ernest comes in to take it against Ethan Hay. And Hay wins it for Miami as a coin skates it into the offensive zone. Drags and shoots, stick save made by Berzins as he directs it to the near wall. Mikan kicks the puck against the end boards. It springs free for Hay, who chops it back near the pile behind the St. Cloud cage. Mikan goes to work on the forecheck. Smolinski digs it out and lifts a lob wedge high in the air that falls short of icing all the way back in Miami's end. Kyle LeCoin escapes his pursuing defender and finds Ryan Smith, who sends a hard pass through center. Phelan steps inside the blue line. Survey steps in left circle, shoots through traffic, save Burzins, and no rebound. 3 RedHawks right on top of the blue paint, hoping for one. And that did not please the Huskies that were around. 15 seconds past the halfway mark, first period. One of Miami's better chances, one of the better chances in general of a pretty defensive period of hockey so far. Still no scores, both teams change.
Yeah, so far, Miami defensively, I've seen a lot of things I really liked. For instance, block shots. Miami is winning that category 4-1. Just throwing your body out there in front of the puck is really helping Droback in that.
Getting tested already more tonight than he did yesterday by a long shot. As the faceoff is won by St. Cloud in their defensive zone, but they ice it right off the faceoff. A Sean chasing after it, and he collided with Michael Quinn. He might have had an acting job trying to draw a penalty there, as he's arguing that Quinn was in his way, but it is icing on the Huskies with 9:38 to play in the first. Helgeson, Deputy, Smith out there for Miami with Lukashevich and Quinn. Face-off win by Miami. Helgeson tucks it through the middle for Deputies, forced back to the far corner. Deputy throws it in behind the net. Smith threw it out in front. No RedHawks there. Chip to the right point where Quinn one times it on. It was deflected in front by Helgeson. And a save made by Burzins. RedHawks still with it. Deputy behind the net. Reverses course. Throws it up to the left point. Lukashevich. Center point Quinn. Shot fake. Step around. Banks it off the right side. Boards. Helgeson on it for Miami. St. Cloud tries to clear. They are able to do so as Quinn initially couldn't hold the zone, brought it back in. I thought the whistle was for offside, but they're actually going to get a penalty on St. Cloud here. Grant Ashan's going to the box. He laid a hit on Michael Quinn. They call him for a cross-check. So 9:04 to go in the first period, and special teams opportunity for Miami. They had a power play goal yesterday, and that puts their total for the season at 7 for 44 for 15.9%. Morozov out there with Deputy, Giampa, Delic, and Lukashevich. This is the top power play line. And Miami wins the offensive zone faceoff and gets it up to Lukashevich, who walks the line in the blue, shoots through traffic. Save made by Burzins. Back up to the point, Lukashevich in the center, walks left, finds Delic, throws it all the way across top of the right circle, where it is Morozov skating into the corner for Miami. Behind the net, Giampa, left half wall Deputy, up to the left point for Delic. He plays catch with Deputy, now on the right point, Lukashevich, sharp one-timer from a tough angle for Morozov, was partially fanned on, but St. Cloud unable to clear. Good job to seal the wall by Lukashevich. Now we've got a hooking penalty called, and who's it going to be on? Looks like Vlad Lukashevich is going off for Miami. The puck was tangled up between both teams, so it was hard to tell who the touch-up was, and it was Miami. So that ends the power play after just 33 seconds, and lets St. Cloud go to work on a 4-on-4, which they feasted on yesterday, scoring 2 goals, one with an extra attacker out. 8:30 to go first period. Minute 27 of 4-on-4, followed by a 33-second Husky power play coming up. Face off on the far side of the ice. And Miettinen loses the draw for St. Cloud, and now another penalty coming up. This is going to be on the Huskies. Miettinen collided with Drobak, who's now off the ice. We saw a call on that against St. Cloud yesterday, and they get the Huskies again on one. So delayed call, Miami brings the extra attacker out. And they bring it into the offensive zone. Smith throws it across, didn't connect with his man looking for a coin. Smith was stumbling all over the place, and the puck comes out to the neutral zone. Still the extra skater out. Miami threads it forward. Hay in alone. It's poked off his stick from behind by Thorson, who recovers to touch it up. And the penalty called on St. Cloud, as it is Thorson that's the guilty party. 2 minutes for goalie interference. And so that makes things a little bit wacky in the penalty department. It's a 4-on-3 power play for Miami for 52 seconds. Then they'll have 33 seconds of 4-on-4 time. In which after that they'll have 34 seconds of 5-on-4 power play time. So they'll get 2 abbreviated power plays out of this, bookending some more 4-on-4 time. Miami goes with Quinn, Delic, Giampa, and Morozov as the 4. And this is where things can get really exciting. There is a lot of room out there on the ice, and the RedHawks control the draw. It's Giampa skating it to the center point. Giampa surveys, throws it to Delic in the right corner. Up to the top of the mushroom for Giampa. Top of the left circle, Quinn sauces it down low, Morozov. Back up Quinn. Giampa on the right side. Delic circles. Giampa faked the one-timer. Now it's Quinn center point, skating through, finds Delic for a one-timer off the post. Quinn hustling after it, just barely can't hold the zone. Miami regroups it quickly, and Delic fires it in. Puck around the wall to the near side. St. Cloud tries to bang it out, and the puck ended up on the stick of Michael Quinn, but it trickled over it. And the RedHawks regroup. 12 seconds left in the 4-on-3 power play before we skate 4 aside for a little bit. Delic top of the left circle. Doubles back instead of shooting. Now Mohawks across, throws it to Giampa, trying to give it out in front for Morozov. It was knocked away. Penalty expires. A shot on a breakaway out of the box. Fakes, shoots, scores. Well, we talk about how much space there is, and sometimes on that 4-on-3 power play, what you want is to push as close to the net as possible, but that left Miami really susceptible going back the other way. As Ashan came out of the box, a perfect clear hit him right on the stick. No RedHawks within 100 feet of him, and he got essentially a penalty shot of a breakaway with no pressure behind him. And one of the Husky captains picks up his 2nd goal of the year to make it 1-0 St. Cloud. 25 seconds of 4-on-4 time. That's officially an even strength goal. And so Miami still will get a brief power play, but right now we skate 4-on-4. Nobody comes out of the box. Ryman steps around on the left side. Assist, by the way, to Reiners, who had the clear. As the RedHawks take away, move it into the offensive zone. Zinger taps it onto his own goal, where Berzins comes out and covers it up.
Yeah, this is a very crucial moment for Miami. St. Cloud State ranks 54th in the penalty kill with 73.3%. So if you're the RedHawks, this is the time to capitalize.
So because we're still even strength, that brings us to a timeout on the ice. 6:34 to go in the first period. And the Huskies have taken the lead as Grant Ashan, coming out of the box, scores a breakaway goal on a 4-on-4 with the assist to Mason Reiners. Again, 4 seconds of 4-on-4, then 35 seconds of Miami power play time when we come back with 6.5 to go in the first. You're listening to Miami Hockey on Red Hawk Radio. 6:34 remaining opening period. St. Cloud takes the lead on a breakaway goal by Grant Ashan from Mason Reiners. Goal comes at the 13:05 mark. Right after the penalty expired on Miami's 4-on-3 power play. This 4-on-4 is still lingering for 4 more seconds before 35 seconds of man advantage time for the RedHawks. Offensive zone faceoff for Miami, and they sling the top line right back out there. Morozov, though, loses the faceoff. And St. Cloud kills some time in their own end before they presumably will clear this out. Lukashevich is out of the box. Oh, but Reiners got tangled up with the official, and he cannot clear. So 5-on-4 power play for Miami, and they hold the zone. Delic center point to the right side for Lukashevich. Lukashevich gives down top of the right circle. Morozov drags and shoots. Blocked with a slide for Reiners. Puck comes up the wall where Morozov had it kicked away, and the puck slides off the stick of Lukashevich and all the way down into Miami's zone. Delic fights off the pursuant in Hall, looking for a potential shorthanded breakaway. Miami keeps possession, but that runs the rest of the time off on the power play. Giampa headed into the offensive zone, threw it in front of the net to nobody. And now St. Cloud plugs the puck up along the near wall. Giampa backhands it along for McEwen, who pokes it into the corner for Justin Stupka. Stupka throws it around the far wall where Giampa meets it on the half wall, tried to throw it back to the point. He fanned on it. Gross takes it the other way. 3-on-2 developing, now a 3-on-3, now a 4-on-3 with a trailer for the Huskies. Smolinski, the trailer, throws it in front of the back door, and a wide open net for Ernest, but he fanned on the tap-in attempt. Puck still alive for the Huskies at the left point. Wiley shoots a wrister through traffic. It's sitting in the crease. It's off the pad of Drobak, and he dumps on it to make the save, and now players collide in the crease. That hit somebody in front that was not Drobak, so he had no idea where the puck was. Just a mess of bodies in front of him, and just fell forward on top of the puck to freeze it with 5:13 to go in the first. 7-7 in the shot department. St. Cloud leads at 1-0. Face-off coming up on the far side of the ice. Or are they going to move this face-off out? They're going to say because of the extracurriculars that St. Cloud was in the crease, and so the face-off comes out of the zone, ends up on the near side where Eric Frank drops the puck, and Miami wins the draw to Michael Phelan on the far wing. Puck just stuck along Miami's defensive blue line, pulled out by St. Cloud, and a throw in front, looking for Mietnin on a tip-in attempt. He missed it on the shot by Gardner. Save made by Drobak, and it's directed to the far corner where a puck battle ensues. Bouncing puck up to the point. Belial did not hold the zone, and so St. Cloud has to clear out. Miami takes it the other way. Nassen drop past Grimes just inside the offensive blue line. He blew a tire. Still shovels it in deep, though, where a puck battle happens. St. Cloud wins it, throws it out of the zone. Ingram tips it. That takes enough off of the puck's momentum to keep it short of icing and allows the Huskies to change. 4:24 to go first period. It's 1-0 St. Cloud. Grant Ashan back on the ice for the first time since he scored. Along the near wall, it's pulled back by Lukashevich. Hits his hinging D-man. And Owen Lalonde, who we're seeing for the first time, he transferred in from Queen's University out of the U Sports in Canada. Dump in attempt, and Lalonde is on it for Miami, shoveling it in behind the net. David Deputy meets him, and now it's Smith behind the RedHawk goal. They try to flutter it up the far wing, but it was checked right back into his stick. Lalonde just pushes it along the kickboard up the far boards, but it's held in by Finn Loftus. Puts it right back into the dirty area behind the Miami net. Battle migrates to the near side boards. 2-on-3 lockup, and Miami wins it, trying to spring Deputy for a potential rush. They can't do so, and they can't clear. Shot by Reiners is blocked. Lalonde working one-on-one against Ryman. Ryman's got no help as his teammates all go to change, and the RedHawks take possession. Still stuck in their own end. Lalonde chips it ahead for Deputy. Now Deputy threads it forward, and it's off the stick of Smith. Miami had a free 2-on-1 there, and Smith actually didn't touch that. It got under his stick, and that would have been a 2-on-1 the other direction for the RedHawks. Instead, it's icing with 3:11 to go in the first. 1-0 St. Cloud. Huskies pick to take the draw on the near side of the ice. It is the top line of Bernovic, Gross, and Hall. Miami's done a good job focusing in on them as much as possible. The guy that killed them yesterday was Gavin Thorson, who scored 2 goals. 2 beauties at that. Face-off win for the Huskies. Brnovic from the top of the circle had his shot blocked. Now Smolinski skates it in. One-timer by Gross. He smoked his teammate. Hall got hit in the shins, and now it's flipped the other way. And Deputy springs on a breakaway, fumbles at the puck. Deputy to the far side. Could not tuck it in front as the Husky backcheckers arrive. He could just never settle that puck. And as a result, never got a clean shot and had to just carry it behind the net on a breakaway. Deputy now forces a turnover for Miami, but he tried to throw it in front for McEwen. Deflects to the far side, thrown in front. And a pad save by Berzins. McEwen was there for a potential rebound. That shot was from a sharp angle by Mikan, but the rebound got by and got out to neutral ice. Brnovic skates it into the offensive zone for St. Cloud. Miami gives it away just inside the blue line. Hall throws it to the back door. Tip on it by Brnovic, but it's wide. And now up the near boards, Hay can't clear it. Couple whack attempts at it, all of them miss. Redhawks do clear it down, but McEwen misses his target on the pass, looking for Mikan, and it's down for icing for Miami with 2:13 to go in the first period. And McEwen is kicking himself because he's tired, and that may have played into just misfiring on a 5-foot pass, and Redhawks are not allowed to change.
That was a great sequence of events right there. So close, just Deputy could not get the puck down enough, and therefore we are in the situation as we are.
2:13 remaining first period, 1-0 St. Cloud. Second line out there for the Huskies, and Nolan Road wins the faceoff. Miami pokes it back to the left point where the Huskies control. Thorson wraps it in behind the net. Ernest takes a bump, banks it up right point. Zinger with room. Zinger shoots through traffic, missed the tip for Road, and it is saved by Drobak, who sends it to the near side. Now sprung back out in front. Road with a shot from between the dots, and that's sticked aside by Drobak. Again thrown in from a sharp angle for a slap shot by Road. It's been all over it this shift. That hits off the corner glass way wide and deflects all the way down to the St. Cloud end. That alleviates the pressure for Miami. They can change and get new bodies on the ice. Deflected back into the Redhawk end. Phelan chasing after it. Miami nearly gave it away and did just inside the blue line. A lot of turnovers this weekend for the Redhawks, and St. Cloud's got it pinned up against the boards right in front of the Miami bench, about 10 feet inside the blue line. Fight for it, it's 2 against 2. And it's brought down the wall by Thorson, who gets pinned, but he hits his teammate in Ernest to skate around the net. Ernest pulled that by Giampa. Huskies want a penalty, they got it. Situation where the referee closest to it didn't call it, but was a little bit blocked by some traffic, and Giampa got a full bear hug around Ernest to pull him back. And he's called for holding with 1:04 remaining in the first period as the Redhawks trail at 1-0.
Yeah, this is where puck possession is the name of the game here. St. Cloud with one of the best power plays in the entire NCAA. So as long as we can maintain possession, dump the pucks, and just make sure that St. Cloud doesn't get the man advantage and score, that is the end of the period.
Miami gave up a 5-on-4 goal yesterday, but that was while the goalie was pulled. On official, statistically calculated power plays, they were perfect. This is St. Cloud's first try on the power play tonight. Tyson Gross on the faceoff for the Huskies. And we get a whistle, and I think they're just going to run this again as Ethan Hay had his skates pulled out from under him. Oh, Miami's going to get a penalty here. That is brutal luck, as Hay's going to get called for a face-off violation. So on the face-off, Hay got his skates pulled down. And by rule, as a center, you cannot touch the puck with any part of your body other than your skates or your stick before someone else on the ice that's not involved in the face-off does. And so because Hay was hauled down fighting against Gross for that face-off and just came down on top of the puck, that's a penalty. And so Miami's going to go to a 5-on-3 kill here for 1:57. There's 1:03 left in this period as St. Cloud leads at 1-0. Again, NCHC officials were instructed this year to police every aspect of the face-off procedure as tight as they can. And that certainly counts as such. As you feel bad, Anthony Noreen was arguing. It's just one of those where it's unfortunately the rule, and kind of all bets are off when it comes to fighting in the face-off dot. You know, I think there were some RedHawks arguing that Hay was tripped, and while to a certain degree that's true, getting tripped on a face-off is not really something that's going to be called when both teams are fighting for possession, and just got hauled over, came down on the puck, and unfortunately that's a bad luck penalty for Miami. They're having issues setting the clock up here. And officially no time comes off the clock there, so instead of a 1:57 two-man advantage, it's a full 2-minute two-man advantage for the Huskies. 1:03 left in the first period, and an even 2 minutes on both penalties as the Huskies go to work. Minutes to go in the period. St. Cloud wins the faceoff. Wiley, top of the left circle, puts it down low. Bernovic into the far corner for Hall. Back down low. Bernovic tried to jam it out in front as he stepped to the right post and tried to push it in, but Drobach stoned him and covers up with 48 seconds left in the period. There will be 57 to 58 seconds of carryover 5-on-3 time. And so officially, by the way, that's a penalty against the Miami bench, so that doesn't really mean anything. Hayes still serving it, but the RedHawks could have theoretically chosen someone else to serve it if they wanted to. Doesn't matter. It's a face-off win for St. Cloud, and Wiley controls from up top. Hall, middle of the ice, trying to find Bernovic in the left circle. He had to kick it to his skate. Hall to the far corner. Skate out in front, shot fake, and now a second attempt by Gross is blocked. Hall with a one-timer from up top. That's knocked down by Morozov, and now a one-time attempt from Bernovic. Flies high and wide. RedHawks overcommit as they try to clear. A shot from the top of the left circle by Wiley flies wide. 14 seconds to go in the period. Wiley still has it. Between the dots, plays it down low. It's between the legs of Gross. Lukashevich chases after him. Back up top with 5 seconds to go. Wiley misfires going against Ingram with 3 seconds, 2 and 1 in the period. And the period comes to an end. That was an excellent minute and 3 seconds of 5-on-3 killing by Miami. After a bad break leads to a two-man advantage for the Huskies. But the RedHawks still head into the locker room with half of this kill remaining, roughly, and in a 1-0 hole.
Yeah, that's a great thing to see. Over a minute done with this penalty kill for the RedHawks. Again, against this number one in the entire country, St. Cloud State Huskies. Great things to see towards the end of the first.
Shots on goal, 13-8 in the first period in favor of St. Cloud, and they lead it 1-0 off the goal by Grant. A shot on the 4-on-4, following Miami's 4-on-3 power play. Got hit on a clearing attempt coming out of the penalty box, and scored the 4-on-4 goal for the Huskies to make it 1-0. So that's all for the first period here on Saturday night as St. Cloud leads it. And we'll take a break. When we come back, Will Salzarulo has your Red Hawk Radio intermission. Again, after 20, the score, the Huskies 1 and the RedHawks 0. You're listening to Miami Hockey on Red Hawk Radio.
You're listening to Miami Hockey on Red Hawk Radio. This is the first intermission show of the only first intermission show of the night. And St. Cloud gets the only goal in the first period. They mark first on the score sheet by Grant Atchin, assisted by Mason Reiners at an even strength goal. He got this right after his penalty expired. He got out of the box on a breakaway, and that breakaway was successful. Now, penalties in the first period, 2 on St. Cloud, 3 for Miami. Shots on net, 8 for Miami, St. Cloud with 13. At the end of the night, at the end of the day, 1-0 in favor of St. Cloud. For the first period analysis, Miami's passing game has been weak. A bunch of intercepted passes, a bunch of missed passage, especially in prime scoring opportunities. They just missed the passes. Penalties, Miami took 3 penalties this period. First hooking, then holding, and then holding the puck, which is a penalty in the NCHC. You can't touch the puck with anything other than your skates or your gloves. Our center tripped, so he touched the puck, and that is still a violation according to the NCHC. A bunch of turnovers for Miami on the offensive and defensive zone, but the PK for Miami, especially in the last minute and a half, Miami was under a lot of pressure, under a 5-3 in favor of St. Cloud man advantage. And Miami, for the last minute 30, they kept on killing it. They kept on bouncing back no matter what. Thankfully, St. Cloud was not able to get a goal and end their power play. Other matchups in the NCHC. It is Denver at Arizona State, Minnesota Duluth at Colorado College, and Western Michigan at Omaha. None of which have started yet. And that's about all the time we have for the first intermission show. I have been Will Salzarulo, and in about 11 minutes, puck drop for the second period with coverage from our play-by-play by Luke West Poley and color commentary by Aiden Stones. Thank you for listening. You're listening to Miami Hockey on Red Hawk Radio.
Second period about to begin here from Cady Arena with the score St. Cloud State 1 and Miami nothing. Lucas Poley, Aiden Stone's back with you. 56 seconds of 5-on-3 time. Looks like they've readjusted the clock since they had that little debacle following the face-off violation, holding the puck call against officially Miami's bench, but Ethan Hay was the centerman on an opening draw to start St. Cloud's power play. He was whistled for a penalty. Originally, when they had some trouble putting the penalty time up, they had put 2 minutes up for both penalties, but now they've readjusted it to how it was. So 56 seconds officially of 5-on-3 time, and then 3 seconds for what it's worth of power play time after that. Miami was good on that 5-on-3 PK to start, but again, they've got about half of it left. St. Cloud's one goal in the first period came on a spring out of the box for Grant Ashan. RedHawks win the faceoff and clear it partway down to kill off some of the time to start this penalty kill. Huskies go right to left here in the second period in the white uniforms. And a shot from the right point is grabbed by Drobak, but kind of got by his right pad, and he had to squeeze behind it with his stick. Shot came off the right point from Austin Bernovic, who is looking for his first goal of the series. 40 seconds left on the initial penalty, which was to Mateo Giampa. Hay is in there serving the bench minor, which he was responsible for. Not super responsible for it, though, in terms of doing it on purpose. Regardless, a win by St. Cloud on the faceoff, and 30 seconds remain on the power play. One-timer from Bernovic on the right side is blocked away and ends up wide. Wiley center point, top of the right circle. Bernovic down low. Hall surveys, finds Bernovic, top of the right circle, drags and shoots. It's blocked there by Lukashevich, and hand passed out of the zone by Morozov. St. Cloud gets it back in quickly. Bernovic slings it across. Ingram waiting, drag, shoots to the backside, and they score. Barrett Hall taps it into the empty net. And St. Cloud finally converts on a power play this weekend. It was only a matter of time as Miami got caught overcommitted in the neutral zone, and there was kind of a mini 3-on-1 when St. Cloud got it back in. And the goal for the Huskies makes it 2-0. 9 seconds remain on the penalty to Ethan Hay. Giampa gets out of the box as that happened with 6 seconds left on the penalty to him. Face-off win for the RedHawks. Kyle Lecoyne flips it up the far side. Deputy trying to glove it down at neutral ice as Ethan Hay comes out of the box. And St. Cloud throws it up the far side. Deputy willingly didn't play it, though, and so it's no icing, even though it goes the length of the ice. Lecoyne to the far corner. It's skated out by Michael Phelan. Dumped partway into the offensive end. Clearing attempt is gloved down by Smith, but now a second try gets it out for St. Cloud. 51 seconds into the second period, the goal by Hall. Assist to Ingram and Bernovic. St. Cloud gets it into the offensive end, trying to throw it to the back door, but it was too far. And now Rode plays it ahead for Ashan. Ashan off for Thorson, steps left, enters the offensive zone, hit hard as he wraps it around the boards to the far side. Ashan sends his defender tumbling. Leaves it behind the net for Rosborough. Plays it out in front for a Bufflin backhander between the hashes that's saved and hung on to by Drobak. 18-10 to go in the second period. And it's now 2-0 St. Cloud. First time Miami's trailed this weekend in this game. After giving up the goal in the first, Miami did not trail yesterday. This is also just the third game this season, and game number 12 for Miami, that they have not scored first. Yesterday included as part of that. Scored first 9 times this season. As a face-off win for the Huskies, it's backhanded in front for a shot that went between the legs of Drobak by Gardner, but he flips around to cover it up behind him before anybody can bang it in for the Huskies. Puck frozen. Drobak's got it lost in his pads and pulls it out. 17:59 to go in the second period, and now a pretty heavy shots advantage for St. Cloud, meanwhile, at 18-8. And they lead it 2-0. Face-off win by Miami. Ilya Morozov in the defensive zone. RedHawks clear it up the far wall. And now a takeaway by Coach Adelik to try and jump a 3-on-2 the other way for Miami. But Giampa was forechecking and in offside. So we get a whistle and face-off coming up on the far side of the ice. St. Cloud's losing streak, which currently stands at 4 games, hoping to snap that tonight. Coming off a bye week. Prior to that, a midweek game against St. Thomas as part of a 2-game set that was spread out throughout the season. They played the Tommies earlier in the year as well. Puck dumped into the offensive zone by St. Cloud. Miami clears it out to neutral ice, where it's thrown back the RedHawks' way, and McEwen tosses ahead for Morozov to tip it into the offensive end. Delicate on the forecheck for Miami. Wiley throws it up the wall. It is hooked further along out of the air by Rosborough, and he bats it down the ice, where McEwen chases it down for an icing against the Huskies. 17:27 to go in the second period. And outside of the goal, since the kill for Miami, last minute and a half has been very similar to the start of the first period. Very choppy and very slow. Smith on the draw against Rosborough. And a face-off win for Miami. Deputy control, skates it around the circle, throws it in front. It's blockered down by Berzins. No rebound available, but a takeaway for the RedHawks. Smith poked it in front. Deputy was stick-checked and could not pull the trigger on a shot. Dumped down the ice by St. Cloud, and short of icing, they can change up. Kalen surveys on the right side, finds Smith, and he whacks it forward, but past Helgeson in on net for St. Cloud. And Helgeson chases it down to force Berzins to cover. 17:02 remaining in the second period. It's 2-0 St. Cloud. New troops on the ice for Miami. Fourth line, Mike and Hay Walker out there with Lalonde and Lukashevich. And Owen Lalonde, grad student from Windsor, is making his first appearance as a Red Hawk. First NCAA appearance as well here tonight after spending some time at U Sports with Queens. Dumped into the offensive end by St. Cloud once and twice. Huskies lay a big hit, still has the Redhawks to clear. And now it's Ethan Hayes skating it through the neutral zone for Miami. Crosses the line, finds Mikan on the right side, throws it in front. Pad save made with the right leg by Berzins. Juicy rebound sat there for a second, but Hall pulled it away. Mikan sold out for a hit, got part of his intended target in Brnovic. And that gives the Redhawks possession in the neutral zone to dump it in and change up. St. Cloud behind their net. Throw it through the middle of the ice. Brnovic tips it into the offensive zone. Huskies now go for changes. Nick Donato almost lost it. A chance to play that out front for the Huskies, but Gross couldn't do it. And Ernest has to fire it in from the neutral zone. Miami back out with it. Nasson delayed coming in. That looked offside, but they play on, and doesn't matter because St. Cloud brings it right back out. As Rode tries to dangle around Phelan, throws it to the trailer. It's poked to Ernest on the left side. But he had to kick it to his skate as the pass was behind him, and Miami gets to him to neutralize and clear it out. Ernest spins away from a defender, hauls the puck back into the offensive zone, but loses possession. Donato banks it off the far wall. Nasson uses the backhand to tip it further in, and the Redhawks go for changes. Around the wall of the near side, Ernest missed it. And allows Phelan to grab it in the neutral zone. Up ahead for Delic, he flings it across and finds Giampa in stride on the left wing. Giampa drops it off. Morozov top of the left circle, spins and shoots. 2 deflections in front, and that went wide, and now Miami's going to be called for a penalty. Well, this has been precedent that was set this weekend as Mateo Giampa was closing in, trying to get a deflection on that shot. He got tangled up and ran into the St. Cloud goalie. And actually, they're going to get both guys here. That's rather bizarre. Rode cannot believe that he's being called for a penalty. And So it's roughing against Road, interference, goalie interference against Giampa. I was just going to say that there was precedent with 2 penalties already. And it's a little surprising because if Giampa was forced into the goalie there, then there would be no goalie interference penalty. But if Giampa did that on his own, then there theoretically should be no penalty to Road. And that's why this officiating crew has now displeased both coaching staffs at the same time. Anthony Noreen is hot on the Miami bench. They'll skate 4-on-4 here. And for the RedHawks, it's Morozov with Delic, Quinn, and Lukashevich. And a face-off win by the Huskies as they control. Smolinski plays it behind the net. And Wiley skates it out of his defensive zone. Wiley steps left. Stick check partially off the puck, but still forces it all the way into the offensive end. Battle for it below the goal line, and it is won by Miami. Quinn tugs it free, finds Lukashevich. RedHawks working in a tight spot. Lukashevich now 1 against 2, just pulls the puck up the near side boards. Morozov there to push it back behind Miami's net. And Lukashevich takes it from there. Lukashevich up ahead. He curls back and finds Michael Quinn down the right wing. Quinn dances around 1, shoves it in further for Coach Delic. Fakes the push behind the net, blew it higher. The puck comes up the near side. 2 Huskies collide. That prevents a rush, potentially 3-on-2 the other direction for St. Cloud. And Coach Delic has called for a penalty, laying a hit a little bit behind the play. It was a little late. But the RedHawks do not agree at all, and now St. Cloud gets a crack at a 4-on-3. Two minutes for what? I think it's an interference call against, there it is, against Coach Delic. Referee said 2 minutes for, and then stopped to turn around at the Miami bench where Anthony Noreen was warned as he was really getting after this officiating crew. Minute 1 second of 4-on-3 time, and then 59 seconds of 5-on-4 time for St. Cloud. They lead it 2-0, 14-15 to go in the second period. Face-off win by the RedHawks, and now they get a 2-on-1 the other way as the Huskies got tangled up on the draw. A coin with Hay, a coin drags and shoots wide, and now a 2-on-1 the other direction for the Huskies. Hall tries to step to the middle, and he is knocked off the puck by McEwen. Now the RedHawks have a chance to break this the other direction as McEwen tried to dance through traffic, but it is poked off his stick. And finally, St. Cloud can control, regrouping on their own defensive blue line with 30 seconds to go. Anthony Noreen is still barking at the officials as St. Cloud enters the offensive end. There is a Husky without a glove as Miami taps it out of the defensive zone. Brought back in by the Huskies, and a step to the front of the net by Gross. Now he swerves in behind and throws it up to the center of the point. 15 seconds left in the 4-on-3. Zinger to the far side. A shot is sent wide by Gross. Now Smolinski center point to the far side. A one-timer save made. Drobak. Rebound is there. And a Husky went down behind the net. That was Gross. No call. Smolinski now plays it down low for Gross, and he scores. He tipped it. It went off the body of Drobak and into the post and then fell in. It was right as the first penalties were expiring. And so that means it is a power play goal for St. Cloud, but should get rid of all the penalties on the board. But with 13:10 to go in the second period, the Huskies have made it 3-0. So kind of a ball don't lie moment for St. Cloud as Gross got hauled down behind the net trying to go for a wraparound. And then about 10 seconds later, after the penalty was not called, he scores to make it 3-0. Gross from Smolinski and Zinger at 6:50. We skate 5 aside once again as the RedHawks find themselves down by 3. Smith up ahead for Miami into the offensive zone, drags and shoots wide. Deputy to it in the corner. He gets crunched along with Smith. Huskies pry it free but don't clear. Lukashevich flips from left to right point. Lalonde with a shot. That gets blocked. And now a saucer pass by Lalonde intercepted, but the Huskies couldn't get it quickly the other way for a potential rush. Miami tried to break back into the zone quickly, and the RedHawks are offside, and Loftus laid a hit on Ryan Smith kind of as the whistle was being blown. And so the teams get separated, and that brings us to a timeout. Huskies have added another. Tyson Gross on the power play makes it 3-0 to St. Cloud State with 12:39 to go in the second period. Back to Cady Arena after the break. You're listening to Miami Hockey on Red Hawk Radio. $12:39 to go, second period. Power play goal has made it 3-0 St. Cloud. Typically during media timeouts, do not see the coaches say a whole lot to their players, but Anthony Noreen was animated, had everybody in a huddle around him for Miami as he tries to implore his team back into this hockey game. Stupka, Grimes, and Nasson out there for Miami with Lalonde and Lukashevich. Neutralized faceoff won by St. Cloud. And the Huskies play it up the far side. Kasper Nasson gets in the way of the feed and pokes it back the Huskies' direction. On the red line, Stupka battling for position for Miami. Kicks it back to Lukashevich on the RedHawks' own blue. He sends it diagonally to Kasper Nasson, who directs it in for the RedHawks. St. Cloud looking to break out. Ingram floats it through the middle of the ice looking for a teammate. Didn't find one, but does leak out to center. RedHawks push it back into the Husky zone, where it's wrapped around to the near wing, and Lalonde throws it to the middle. Dangerous tip there from Grimes, but it's patted away by Berzins. And the Huskies clear it out. Lukashevich races it down, short of icing. Miettinen with him. St. Cloud changing. Stupka tips it along the far wall, but couldn't connect with Nasson. And now the Huskies race it up the ice. Sashan steps left, working against Lukashevich. He's forced into the corner and banged off the puck. Battle for it on the NCHC logo behind Miami's net. Pulled free by Rosborough, but now he's locked up by Delic, who swipes it away. Lukashevich behind the RedHawk net, tried to feed a long pass ahead for Morozov all the way up on the offensive blue line. Stopped short of him, but Morozov races down the loose puck and chips it into the zone. St. Cloud pushes it back out. RedHawks on the regroup. Morozov bracketed by 3 players. He gets bumped off the puck, and now a coin spins and tacks it into the St. Cloud end, but it's too far for Delic to chase down, and it's tagged up for icing by the Huskies with 11:08 to go in the second period. Shots are 20-11 in favor of St. Cloud on the road, and they lead it 3-0. Face off on the far side of the ice.
We talk about Miami and the St. Cloud game, especially with St. Cloud getting some power play goals. Miami has, I believe they have 146 penalty minutes in total this season, which ranks on 19th in the entire country. Definitely something they could work on there.
It was a big problem last year, big problem last weekend. RedHawks are going to go to the power play right off the faceoff here, though, as Kyle LaCoin got tripped up. Miami dumped it into the offensive end, and the goalie, Patrick Berzins, comes out to go touch it up for St. Cloud. And the Huskies, man, just got another penalty as Coach Adelic got collided with. And this is being policed tightly, and this is maybe where a Husky has crossed the line. And Miami's going to get a long 5-on-3 here. The initial penalty to Hall, and now Cooper Wiley is sent off as well. Didn't look overly egregious there. The first penalty was obvious. It was right off the draw. Coyne swooped in to grab the puck and got his legs just pulled right out from under him. And we get a replay after the whistle of what happened, and it was a small stick check by Coach Adelic, followed by a large cross check from Cooper Wiley, and that's why the call happened. But this is a massive opportunity knocking for Miami. 11:01 to go in the second, down 3-0, and they've got a full 2-minute 5-on-3. RedHawks win the faceoff, and Lukashevich has it center point. He walks to the right side, gives it into the circle for Morozov. Back up Lukashevich, now center point Delic. To the far circle, Deputy with a one-timer, easily handled by Berzins. Deputy along the boards, pulls it back to the point for Delic. Delic skates in, moves to the middle, opens up to the far side. Deputy with a one-timer through the open crease, it's wide. Oh, Berzins was tumbling in the St. Cloud net. Puck deflects off the corner boards and out. Miami back in, though, quickly. 34 seconds gone by in the 5-on-3. Delic through the middle, drag, shoots just high and wide. Chip partway up for St. Cloud, but not out. Delic into the left circle for Deputy. Cross ice Morozov, back up Lukashevich. Lukashevich for Morozov with a one-timer, huge save Berzins. Thrown back out in front. Berzins recovers. Delic in the high slot for Lukashevich in the right circle. Back up center point Delic for Morozov, right face-off dot. Top of the circle, Lukashevich with a wrister, and that's blockered away by Berzins. Now Delic for Deputy, left dot, drags and shoots. Shoulder save made by Berzins, who's getting peppered right now. Down low, a step out front for Giampa, he scores. Well, David Deputy was drawing all the attention at the face-off dot, played it into the corner, and nobody took Giampa. He just walked right out in front and lifted it over the right shoulder of Patrick Berzins. It comes a minute 13 into the 5-on-3 for Miami, a deserved power play goal for the RedHawks, who are peppering away at St. Cloud State, and now Miami gets 47 seconds of 5-on-4 power play time on the end of this goal. Goal by Giampa. We have one of the assists to Bradley Walker. That will presumably be changed as the RedHawks win the faceoff and motor into the offensive zone. Max Helgeson pushes it forward for Miami. Around for Casper Nassen and held in on the left point by Michael Quinn. Now Helgeson in the right circle. All alone, he finds Smith. Smith shoots, it's blocked. Over to the left side. Nassen back up top. Now Helgeson on the right point. Helgeson plays it to the bumper for Smith in the middle. Now Helgeson right circle, drags and shoots, sliding block made. But the Huskies cannot clear. Ethan Hay trying to drive the net, but a good defensive effort to poke that away by Max Smolinski. Puck comes up to the point for Michael Quinn. Across for Casper Nassen, 5 seconds to go in the penalty. Quinn into the middle, he finds Ryan Smith, who shoots it high and wide. Penalty has expired, RedHawks still with it. Helgeson wraps it around, shoots it from a sharp angle off the outside of the net. Has it back now and dumps it in deep. Miami's got some mojo. See if they can add another with it. Phelan on the right point. Across for a coin, shot through traffic, tipped up in the air and off the top of the glass. Smith deflects it back right point, Phelan. Across for a coin, shoots off his back foot, and that's easily handled by Berzins, who holds on. And wow, Miami has closed the shots gap. It's now 20-18. The RedHawks have come back from an 18-8 deficit in that department to come out nearly even. They've got the goal, and Miami's starting to roll a little bit here. Still down 2 goals with 8:37 to go in the second period.
Yeah, the second period has been massive for the RedHawks. Miami has 18 shots compared to St. Cloud's 9 just this period alone.
Face-off win for Miami. And Phelan has it right point. He sauces it across, and a cross-corner dump for Stupka in the corner. He gets locked up. But the RedHawks forecheck and do keep possession. A coin with a wrister from the left point, and that's gloved by Berzins. And he again freezes. 8:23 remaining in the second. And St. Cloud changes up, as does Miami, and they're putting that top line right back over the boards. It's the line that, in part, scored the goal. They were broken up a little bit because it was a power play. But Delic, Morozov, Giampa back out there with Lalonde and McEwen. Face off on the left side of the offensive zone for Miami. St. Cloud needs a new center. Gardner comes in to take it as Mietinen's toss from the draw. And the substitute center wins the draw for St. Cloud, who again cannot clear. Lalonde seals the wall on the right wing and plays it back in deep, looking for Giampa. Giampa pasted along the wall by Joe Belisle. But Giampa still with it in the corner, and now Belisle the one that goes to ground as it's played up to the left point. Back into the corner for Giampa. Swerves away from his defender, tucks it in front, it slipped through everybody and ends up at the point. McEwen with a wrister from the left side, and that's blocked. St. Cloud finally clears, but not by much, and Miami breaks it right back into the zone. Delic ahead for Giampa, back for Delic. He throws one on net, sticked aside by Berzins. Delic down on the ground as he lost his footing. The footing has been off throughout this game, and St. Cloud clears it all the way down the ice, and it is icing on the Huskies, who went for a full five-man change. And now the officials will have to sort things out here. 7:36 to go in the second period, and Miami is keeping up the pressure after a strong power play, and you can see what that does for you. For the RedHawks, they pick up their 8th power play goal of the year. Timeout called by St. Cloud. And Brett Larson is not happy with the way his team is playing, as he's now pulled everybody around. And so with the tired bodies out there, Brett Larson elects to take his timeout. Trying to break up some of this momentum. Shots are now even at 20. St. Cloud has capitalized twice in the power play, Miami once. It was on a 5-on-3. St. Cloud also has scored a 5-on-3 goal here tonight. This comes after both penalty kills were pretty good last night. Miami scored a power play goal, but they had a ton of chances yesterday on the 5-on-4. Troy Thibodeau's got the whiteboard out on the Miami bench, drawing something up for the RedHawks, who will send out the second line. And again, another rule that's different in the NHL than college. In college, when you call the timeout after an icing, that allows you to change, and so St. Cloud does put 5 new guys on the ice. And a face-off win by Rode, but St. Cloud plays it onto their own net, and Berzins covers it up. Smith again gets close, and this weekend that has meant a free shot to the shin pads anytime you come within 10 feet of either team's goal. 7:31 remaining in the second period. They'll do the face-off again from the same spot. Face-off won by Ryan Smith of Miami. Back to the right point. Michael Quinn shoots through traffic. Save made by Berzins, who hangs on. Helgeson in front looking for a tip. Again, Deputy is pushed away by a couple of St. Cloud State players, and this officiating crew seems to be getting a little bit restless with the after-the-whistle antics that are happening seemingly every single time the puck is put on goal. St. Cloud changes up. They bring on the 4th line, and Werner Miettinen wins the faceoff for the Huskies. They have it in the near corner. Wiley bumped off the puck by Ryan Smith. He's tagged then from behind and stripped of possession by Miettinen. Miettinen wraps it around to the near wing where Quinn pinches in for Miami, plays it behind him for Deputy. Now to the point, Lukashevich with a shot. That's blocked by Wiley in front. Recovered by Smith in the far corner. Tried to force that through traffic down the middle, but he got stood up, and it's skated back out to center by the Huskies. Miami tries to come right back in, but Deputy is stripped of the puck as soon as he got back into the zone. Lukashevich back in with it for Miami, throws it in front, and Berzins initially missed the glove save, but it hit his leg pad, and then he covered up to bring us to a stoppage. 6:45 to go in the second period. Timeout on the ice. Miami has gotten one back off the power play goal by Mateo Giampa, his 5th of the year. And the RedHawks have made it a 3-1 hockey game as we approach the late stages of the second period. You're listening to Miami Hockey on Red Hawk Radio. Time to go, second period with the score, St. Cloud State 3 and Miami 1. RedHawks now have the shots lead in the game, 22-20, and they have been in firm control ever since they got a full 2-minute 5-on-3, scored a goal on it. And they try to come back from a 3-0 deficit. That march continues right now with an offensive zone faceoff. St. Cloud State wins it. Tries to clear up the far side wall, but it's held in with a kick by Kyle Aucoin. Second try on the clearance for St. Cloud is gloved down by Aucoin, but finally the third try is banged all the way down the ice and recovered in the Miami end by Michael Phelan. Up ahead for the RedHawks, Stupka got tugged down. Anthony Noreen wants a penalty, none coming as St. Cloud dumps it into the Miami end. Bernovic twists it around, throws it in behind the net for Hall. Tried to tuck it in front for Gross, who was driving. It went between his legs. Phelan grabs it, skates it clear. Aucoin through center, down the left wing, fires it around the bottom of the boards. Puck rings to the near side where Grimes gets on it for Miami. Nasson directs it further to the far side behind the St. Cloud goal. And it's chipped up the wall where Hall pitches it past center and goes for a change. Quinn on the regroup for Miami. Steps it into the offensive zone. Quinn leaves it for Giampa. Across for Nasson, but he couldn't hang on to the puck. Slips under his stick. He's forced to recover it and throw it in behind where Giampa then missed it. And St. Cloud again grabs it and lobs it out to center. Quinn up ahead for Coach Adelic, who was calling for it. He enters the offensive zone. Delic spins, twists the other way, and throws it all the way around the boards. Morozov has it on the near side, threw it across, looking for a cutting. Delic had missed him now. A shot from the left side boards by Lukashevich, blocked by Ryman. And St. Cloud State plays it behind their own goal where it's given away, but a pass between Morozov and Delic did not connect, and Miami has to regroup it in the defensive zone. RedHawks push it back in. And again, it leaks out as Michael Quinn this time can't hold the point for the RedHawks. Morozov on the chip, Miami in a partial change. Played up the wall by Lalonde, throws it across, wide open in front, Deputy scores! Goals on back-to-back nights for David Deputy, his first 2 of his college career, and elite vision to get him the puck from Owen Lalonde. And in his first career college game in the United States, he picks up his first point on an absolute beauty of an assist. Somehow saw his teammate all the way across the ice with nobody within 20 feet of him. And Deputy does the rest to bring Miami within 1. 4:54 remaining in the second period, and it's a 3-2 hockey game. A couple of hard hits gone in for by St. Cloud as we restart play. Loftus brings it across the red line for the Huskies and dumps it in. Goals on back-to-back nights for David Deputy, who again had an awesome year last year in the USHL with the Muskegon Lumberjacks. Trying to translate it to the college level, back into the lineup after losing some time due to injury in his true freshman season. Miami grabs the puck out of a battle, and Helgeson throws it all the way down the ice, and it is icing with 4:19 remaining in the second period. Goal by Deputy, assist to Lalonde at 15:06 of the second. And the RedHawks are within one.
And with that now, Miami is leading the shots on goal category in the second period, 16-7. Over double than the Huskies have this period.
Face off on the near side of the ice. And it's controlled by Miami. Lifted out to the neutral zone where Deputy gets on it, and now Smith tried to skate on by. Almost a 2-on-1 for Miami, but Smith lost possession. A coin flips it up the ice. It goes off the top of the boards and down the ice for icing. Meanwhile, Phelan and Ingram are in a wrestling match right now on Miami's defensive blue line. The officials split them up. And for Miami, a couple of icings in a row have left them with some tired bodies out there. .404 to go in the second period. Miettinen lines up on the faceoff against Ryan Smith, and the RedHawk wins it to the near boards. Wrapped around the far wall by a coin, and his clearing attempt is off the glove of Smolinski and out of the zone. St. Cloud recovers back. Ingram down the left wing, enters the zone, flings it all the way across, finds Miettinen just inside the blue line right wing. Miettinen into the corner, gets it up to the point for a shot by Smolinski. Save made by Drobak, and now a break for the RedHawks as Smith goes up with Hay. Smith sauces down low looking for Hay on the back door. He couldn't knock it out of the air, as St. Cloud had some back checkers that rushed that pass for Ryan Smith. Miami working on the forecheck, and the RedHawks win possession. Bradley Walker on the left point, fakes the slap shot, throws it towards the net. Hay got a stick on it, but basically took all the momentum off the puck. Now it's wrapped around in front by Nick Mikan, and just slid through the slot with nobody there to touch it for Miami. Left point, Lukashevich has it. He fans on the wrister. Now just softly handles and dumps it back in deep. Quinn pinches down from the right point. Softly plays it down low. Bradley Walker earns some body position, slaps it up the boards, but the first to get to it is Ingram for St. Cloud. He cuts diagonally across the middle and skates it out of the zone and almost iced the puck. He was behind the red line, but luckily the angle Quinn had on it forced him to get to it before it crossed the goal line. Lukashevich up ahead for Quinn. His pass missed, and that's icing now the other way on the RedHawks with 2:32 to go in the second period. Anthony Noreen has just been in the ear of these referees tonight, and he doesn't think that was icing either. Miami's got some tired defensemen out there, but did just change their forwards. Quinn and Lukashevich have been out there a while, but the top line just got on the ice for Miami. Top line out there for St. Cloud. A face-off win leads to a Brnovik shot tipped high. Recovered in the corner by Loftus, who hits it off the end wall around to the far side for the Huskies. Held into the zone by St. Cloud, and Lukashevich lost it. In the corner, Gross stripped of possession, and Giampa flings it in the air, and it just barely escapes the zone. Brnovik sends it right back in. Lukashevich back on it, soft off the glass. It hits off the hip of Coach Adelic and stays in the zone, where St. Cloud pushes it back in. Brnovik up to the right point for a slap shot there by Zinger that came up and hit Ilya Morozov up high. It looked like he was shaking out his right hand, but he looks to be just fine as the RedHawks have possession, threaded forward, and Giampa tips it into the offensive end. Morozov giving chase. Now pushed behind the net, Coach Adelic working on it. He goes 1 against 2, and St. Cloud wins with the numbers. It's taken and sent all the way down the ice. Inches short of icing as McEwen runs it down for Miami. Up ahead, Deputy fumbled with it just inside the offensive blue line on the right wing. Lalonde gets spun around, and that leads to a 3-on-2 for St. Cloud. Down the right wing, it's played across for Ernest. He shoots, and it's blocked by Smith. Got blocked right back into him, and Ernest fell down as the St. Cloud bench wanted a penalty on Smith. Ernest had a man wide open on the back door, but just got smothered on that shot block. Deputy comes out with it. 1 minute to play in the second period with Miami down a goal. Smith through the right wing, threads a pass across that's deflected up high into the corner glass. Now Deputy left circle, drags and shoots. Save with a mask by Berzins. It fell down for a moment, but he covers it up as the RedHawks crowd the crease area. 50.5 seconds to go in the middle period. Shots now 26-22 in favor of Miami. And this is as good of a response as you can ask for the RedHawks, with the exception of maybe just the equalizing goal that they'll try to grab on this final shift. Face off on the far side of the ice. Acoin and Phelan, the deep pair with Miami's fourth line. Hay, Mike, and Walker out there for the RedHawks. Faceoff was pulled back Miami's direction, but whacked down the ice by St. Cloud. Acoin's got a hustle as he's got a man right on his back, but does escape and throws it up the far side. Tipped into the offensive zone by Bradley Walker. Wiley back to it for St. Cloud, throws it up the boards. Acoin holds the zone on the left point. And now a slap shot through traffic. It hits something in front. And Berzins may have made a save there as it's cleared out by St. Cloud with 25 to go in the period. Sent back in by Acoin. Miami's offside. They've got to tag up, and they change with 18 seconds to go. That allows maybe for one final chance for St. Cloud. Dumped into the offensive zone by the Huskies. Quinn below his goal line, wraps it around near corner for Phelan. He banks it back around for Quinn with 8 seconds to go, and he slaps it up the ice out to the neutral zone where it's stolen away. Delic up ahead with 3 seconds. Penalty coming up on St. Cloud. Delic shoots it high and wide as time expires. But Doug Grimes just got hip checked there when he wasn't even on the puck. And that's just a silly penalty for St. Cloud to take late in the period. They didn't go after the puck carrier at all, and that allowed Coach Delic to stick handle his way into a pretty good opportunity from the slot right as time expired, and St. Cloud took a penalty. So that is a huge boost for Miami. They will have a full 2-minute power play to look forward to in the third period, but they are down a goal as we hit the second intermission here from Oxford. Things look pretty grim there for a moment, Aiden, but I mean, can't complain at all about the way this team has answered to adversity throughout the season, and that's the case again tonight.
Yeah, you can definitely tell momentum has shifted from the start of the second to the end of the second with these 2 goals in the last, I would say 5-6 minutes going in Miami's favor. So yeah, as with the penalty as well called against St. Cloud, this is a huge moment for Miami to capitalize.
End of 2 from Cady Arena. The score, St. Cloud State 3 and Miami 2. The penalty is against Jack Ryman for interference. The RedHawks have a full 2-minute power play to start the third period on the other side. We'll take a break. When we come back, Will Salzarulo has the Red Hawk Radio intermission, and this is Miami Hockey on Red Hawk Radio.
You're listening to Miami Hockey on Red Hawk Radio. Hello and welcome. You're listening to Miami Hockey on Red Hawk Radio, and I'm your host, Will Salzarulo, and this is the second intermission show. A lot of goals in this second period with 4. St. Cloud opens it up in the start of the second on a power play goal by Barrett Hall and Adam Ingram, and assisted by Adam Ingram and Austin Bernavec. Tyson Gross of St. Cloud lights up the lamp next. It was a power play goal by Max Slominski and Josh Zinger. After a long and hard fight, Miami on a 5-on-3 gets a power play goal by Mateo Giampa, assisted by Coach Adelic and Bradley Walker. Then Miami once again ups the ante by a goal by David Deputy and Max Helgeson at even strength. 4 penalties for St. Cloud, one of which is being brought fully into the start of the third period. Now the man who did this was Jack Ryman. It was for interference right after the last whistle. Just crushing Coach Adelic right after he crossed the line, and he wasn't even the puck carrier. Miami has, especially in the last half of the second period, has like awoken a beast. They are now out shooting St. Cloud after 8-18 at the end of the first to 27-20 in favor of Miami. Miami was off to a slow start in the second, allowing 2 goals in the first 10 minutes of the period. Miami has passed the bridge of gaps and is now passing St. Cloud in shots on goal. It has been a very aggressive and physical game. I feel like extracurricular activities after every single whistle is happening on the ice. Miami's passing has still been less than stellar. A lot of missed passes, a lot of attempted passes going into icing, unfortunately. Berkins from St. Cloud is on fire tonight, especially after a stint halfway through the period where Miami just kept on getting shot after shot on net and him not letting it go through the back with a 72% save percentage. Also tonight in the NCHC, Denver's at Arizona State, Minnesota Duluth, and Colorado College. The score is currently 0-0. Western Michigan's at Omaha. More scores will be revealed as the games start. I have been Will Salzarulo, and this has been your second intermission report. We'll be back in about 10 minutes with play-by-play by Luke West Poley and color commentary by Aiden Sones. You're listening to Miami RedHawk. You're listening to Miami Hockey on Red Hawk Radio.
Third period about to begin from Cady Arena. St. Cloud 3, Miami 2. 1 point, it was 3-0 to the Huskies. RedHawks have scored the last 2 goals, first by Mateo Giampa, then by David Deputy. Lucas Poley, Aiden Stone's back with you. 2 minutes of power play time. A full power play for Miami to start the third period after a penalty by Jack Ryman that he took with just a few seconds left in that second period. RedHawks got a golden chance to tie the game as time expired as Coach Adelic skated in pretty much untouched and got a shot in from the high slot, but he shot it high. St. Cloud couldn't get a touch up, and as a result, the penalty doesn't start until the opening face-off of the third. Miami in the black uniforms right to left. St. Cloud in the white uniforms, they go left to right. Top power play line out there for Miami. Morozov against Tyson Gross on the opening face-off of the third. It's won by the RedHawks, and we are underway. Miami is 1 for 4 on the power play so far. St. Cloud has scored twice on their man advantage. Deputy skates it down the left wing into the offensive zone, up top for Lukashevich, and across to the far side where Ilya Morozov has to pinch in to prevent St. Cloud from gaining possession. Delic spins it to the center point for Lukashevich. Down the wall for Delic. He backhands it across right point for Morozov. He hits Deputy on a stick. Deputy walks in, waits, shoots, and he's stuffed by Berzins from a tight angle. And St. Cloud clears it out. Oh, and the RedHawks touched it with a high stick. And Coach Adelic's kicking himself right now as he faces back up to his bench. That clearing attempt, Delic knocked it down with a high stick and still got out of the zone. Miami touched up. So minute 26 remaining on the penalty to Ryman. And the faceoff backs all the way in to the RedHawks zone, but the bench got confirmation they can change. They send the line of Hay, Smith, and Helgeson over the boards, and Miami wins the faceoff on the near side. But some pressure being applied by Ashan for St. Cloud to kill some more time. RedHawks have it below their own goal line, and now the pressure backs up for St. Cloud. Quinn skates it out from behind the net. It's deflected up into the St. Cloud bench. Watch out, Brett Larson. He gets out of the way. And it's tipped up into the bench to stop time with 19:08 to go in the third, 1:08 to go in the penalty. Center ice draw coming up. Second units out there for both teams. Check that, rather, first line back out for Miami. It's Mietnin against Morozov on the faceoff, and Mietnin wins it for St. Cloud. Wiley backing up further and further and further, and now he throws it down the ice on the right wing. Lukashevich grabs it. Not much possession time yet in the offensive zone for Miami in the first minute of the power play. Deputy races ahead, enters the zone on the left wing, tried to handle to the backhand. It was knocked away from him for a moment, but he regathers. Wraps it around the wall for Morozov. Center point, Lukashevich. Back on the wall, Morozov finds Delic on the near side. Lukashevich from Morozov on the far side. Hash as he fanned on the pass for Lukashevich. And the puck flies out of the zone. Miami back in. It's Lukashevich tapping it to the far wall. RedHawks miscommunicate about who's going to forecheck, and that's an easy clear for the Huskies with 25 seconds remaining on the penalty. RedHawks have it behind the net. Lukashevich looks ahead and finds Morozov on the center red line. Morozov tried to step by, but couldn't get through Rosborough. Now it's Delic who enters the zone on the left wing. Delic throws it at the net. That's sticked away by Berzins. And the Huskies clear it just out of the zone to center as they return Ryman to the ice. And a successful kill for St. Cloud. Delic takes it just past the center red line and pitches it into the offensive zone. Doug Grimes makes his way in and lays a hit as that was laid behind the net for Ryman. He skates it up the right wing. Ryman around Walker. Dumps it into the offensive end. Phelan around to get it for Miami. Wraps around his net, puts it up for Grimes. Phelan got hammered in the corner. St. Cloud is offside, and Miami doesn't want to touch it. Walker smartly just lets it go, forces the Huskies to touch up as the puck just came into the zone. They still had not cleared out. 17:31 to go in the third period. St. Cloud successfully kills off the full 2 minutes of power play time to start the third. They continue to lead it 3-2 despite Miami, who again at one point was being outshot 18-8. They now have the shots lead 29-22. pretty much all the momentum shift in this game can be pointed towards a full 2-minute 5-on-3 that Miami got thanks to a roughing penalty after the whistle following an initial penalty by St. Cloud. Miami scored on the 5-on-3, and that completely flipped the momentum after a flat start for the RedHawks. Pass threaded through center. Gets into the offensive zone for Hall, where he gets smothered. Walker now fields it. Steps across the red line. Backhands it in. Berzin's behind the net. Plays it to the far corner. Pass to the near side. Gross touches it by Smith. But the RedHawks have possession, and now Smith threw it ahead, looking for Deputy breaking down the middle, but the pass had too much heat, and it got by him. St. Cloud clears it back out to center where Miami regroups. Michael Quinn dumps it in, and Hall rubs him out towards the Miami bench. RedHawks forechecking. They get possession. Lukashevich on the left point shoots through traffic. Stick save made. Helgeson with it now in the right corner. Up top to the point for Quinn. He risks one intentionally wide, looking for somebody to get there. Nobody does for Miami. Gross throws it up the ice, but Lukashevich paws it down at the left point. Helgeson now tries to dangle through traffic, pokes it on net. And Berzins covers it up. Crafty play there for Helgeson, who was just kind of tapping and poking away at the puck to guide it through traffic. That goes down as a shot on goal, but not a tremendous scoring opportunity. No RedHawks in the net front area other than Helgeson. And we get a whistle. 16:25 to go in the third period. St. Cloud still leads by a goal. They now decide that that was no longer a shot, so they take it off the board. Ozone draw is won by St. Cloud, but Giampa with a takeaway coming off the faceoff before the Huskies can clear. Top line out there for Miami, and Lukashevich plays it in deep. Delic up the left wall for Lukashevich. He shovels it back down low. Morozov chasing after it, and now Delic further along. St. Cloud tries to clear but can't. It's held into the zone. Delic's stick got chopped in half as Giampa walked down the right side, shot it in, but it's gloved up into the netting by Berzins, and you get a stoppage. Miami keeps that line out for a moment, and now they changed late in the process. 16:03 to go in the third. RedHawks trail by a goal. St. Cloud hoping for a weekend split after being swept in their last NCHC series, a tough one on the road against Minnesota Duluth. Their last split came against Western Michigan. They thumped the Broncos on Saturday night after taking the loss on Friday. Looked like we might be destined for that territory again tonight before Miami answered with 2 goals to make this close once again. Another false start on the draw. And so they reset. And the face-off is won by St. Cloud despite the center in Rosborough's stick smashing in half. St. Cloud can clear only as far as center, and now they cough it up after Miami puts it back into the offensive zone. Walker up to the left point for Kyle LeCoin. Slides it through traffic. It was tipped in the direction of the far post by Hay. Ended up just wide. Put through the middle of the ice. A coin got dumped. Now the RedHawks run it the other way. It's Mikan driving the net front, tried to step it out in front, but he couldn't pull the puck through. And now the puck lodged in the corner. An errant whistle, and what do we have here? The referee blew the play dead. Very confused about what this is. Both coaches have puzzled looks on their faces. The faceoff moves into St. Cloud's own end. Got no idea what the heck happened there. The puck hit the referee, but they're part of the play. You just play on through that. And Brett Larson's not thrilled with the explanation he's getting right now from referee Andrew Wilk. Got no idea what that was. Regardless, they'll drop the puck. And Miami wins the offensive zone draw. Grimes can't pull the trigger on a shot. Lukashevich now plays it down into the corner for Justin Stupka. Stupka spins away from one, back up left point. Lukashevich across for Lalonde, and his shot blocked. Good play by Ashan to knock the puck out to the neutral zone after it hit some shin pads. Miami tries to race it back in. Grimes chasing after it, tried to chop it in front. Got it as far as the back of the net. And that's where the RedHawks are working on it now. Bufflin in there. Piled up on by a couple of RedHawks. It squirts free to Stupka in the far corner. He's locked up. And now Lalonde has to chase after this with a shot on his back. And Lalonde hauls him down. That's going to be a penalty. And Miami touches up. And for the RedHawks, they will go to the penalty kill. That's just a classic situation of getting a shot blocked and just not having a step the other way as Sean was about to race right around Lalonde. He made a business decision to haul him down. The only unfortunate thing for Miami was they had another defender back to potentially cover there. Instead, the RedHawks dipped their hand into the pot again, and this is where Anthony Noreen said yesterday post-game, you start to get a little bit dangerous. Miami's already felt the weight of this power play tonight, giving up 2 goals. But this is their 4th opportunity, and he said once you start to get to power play number 4, power play number 5, that is when it can really weigh on you as a team. RedHawks will have to make some adjustments. St. Cloud wins the offensive zone draw to start the power play. Wiley across for Bernovic, top of the right circle, tried to slide it through for the bumper and Hall. That's taken away by Miami, but the clearing attempt from Michael Phelan was tipped up into the protective netting. Stoppage 14 seconds into the power play. Still 3-2 St. Cloud. 14:26 to go in the 3rd period. Face-off coming to the near side. Hay against Gross on the draw. Taking a long time to get this puck down, and now they finally do, and the Huskies control. Across to the far side, a shot through traffic is stopped. And look out, that's flung into the Miami bench as Ingram had the initial shot. Drobak made the save, and the RedHawks got to the loose puck, but unfortunately Michael Phelan put a laser beam right towards his head coach's head. Everybody got out of the way on the Miami bench, but it's unfortunate for the RedHawks because it backs the face-off back into their own zone, and they don't get the time wastage of that clear. Face-off win by Gross. Bernovic up for Wiley, center point. Now Bernovic in the right circle, back up top for Wiley. And one of 3 Huskies that wear a C on their chest. Bernovic plays it down low for Hall. Surveys from the right dot, threw it in front. It was tipped by Ingram, wide of the right post. Huskies still with it, 40 seconds into the power play. Mishandled by Bernovic into a one-time shot by Hall, right into the body of Kyle LeCoyne. He fans on the first clear, but the puck pops back to Ethan Hay, who blasts it the rest of the way down the ice. Miami can finally get the second unit on. We have finally hit the halfway mark of this power play. Gross to the far side. He was looking for Hall. He got bumped off it, but it came right back to Gross. Feed into the corner is broken up by McEwen, but now Wiley holds the zone on the left point. Wiley plays it down the wall. McEwen with an aggressive move, and he steps into Ingram to steal and clear it away. 38 seconds to go in the penalty. Morozov, very aggressive, goes all the way in on the Husky goaltender behind the goal line to apply some forecheck. Now Delic doing the same. Delic with a steal, trying to go behind the back on the dangle. He was working 1 versus 3, and the Huskies pull it out. Zinger with plenty of speed down the left side, hands it off just inside the blue line for Ernest. He skates it below the goal line, and Ernest drags it along the boards up to the near side point for Thorson. Thorson banks it down low for Rode, and he got knocked off the puck. Miami clears. St. Cloud tries to get it back in, but Ernest had it stolen away. 2 seconds and 1 in the penalty. Lalonde's out of the box, and that is a massive kill for the RedHawks, who keep it a 1-goal hockey game with 12:36 to go. And now Miami enters the offensive zone. Helgeson off for Smith. He throws it through traffic, but that's blocked in front with the stick. And St. Cloud clears it out 3-on-2 the other way for the Huskies. Sean dishes to the right side for Thorson. Couldn't get it by Lukashevich. And the RedHawks steal it away. Now Smith down the right side. Smith tries to dangle through, and he is held off here by Reiners. Huskies back up the ice. Deputy took a spill. Phelan pinches to bank it off the wall and break up the Husky rush. Helgeson plays it back. Miami's got to be careful. They're right next to their bench. Folks are changing. Puck's there as well. RedHawks avoid the too many men and pull it back for Michael Phelan. Stupka directs the puck into the offensive zone. RedHawks go on the forecheck. Loftus whacks it around the far side boards. Miami holds the zone. Grimes with a wrister on. That's blockered away by Berzins. And it came up to the left point where McEwen just slapped the puck on edge. And that flew way high on him. Ended up in the netting by the corner boards. 11:37 to go in the third period. And a near essential penalty kill successful for Miami. They still trail it 3-2. Timeout on the ice here at Cady Arena. We're back in a moment. You're listening to Miami Hockey on Red Hawk Radio. $11:37 to go in the third period. It's St. Cloud State 3 and Miami 2. House of Pain on the speakers, and another packed house in the crowd here at Cady Arena. Here on night 2 of the series. Miami has trailed for this whole game since they went down 1-0. Offensive zone faceoff here for Miami, and it is won initially by the RedHawks, but Nassen got stick checked in the Huskies' control. Sean flips it ahead for St. Cloud. Stupka banks it off the boards out near center. Puck came off the top of the glass, settled back down on the ice, and it's swept away of the RedHawks. Milan through the middle, off for Doug Grimes, and now Lukashevich threads it forward where it's kicked into the offensive zone by Stupka. Puck rolling along the stanchion. It's poked forward and thrown in front of the net by Kasper Nassen, looking for Stupka, but it's driven back to the end wall. Now on the left point, Lukashevich across for Lalonde. Grimes with a center point one-timer. That's tipped wide. Partially blocked there by the Huskies. Nassen skates up to the point and turns it back in deep in the offensive zone. Pinch down for Kyle Lecoyne. Puck lodged along the half wall. Now pulled free and sent along the boards by St. Cloud, but Lukashevich holds the zone. Nassen finds a coin in the far circle. Wade shoots. It's blocked in front by Rosborough. Berzins didn't see it. It's pushed to the end wall, and Sean digs it out. Tries to flip it out of the zone, but can't. It's held in by Coach Adelic, but now the RedHawks go for changes, and that allows St. Cloud to just back this up with no pressure. Lifted diagonally across the ice by the Huskies. Miami back with it, and Delic chops it to himself on the center ice M. He finds Morozov, who taps it 2 feet to his left to Giampa, who enters the offensive zone. Giampa behind the net. Backhands up right point for Phelan. Quinn wants a one-timer. He gets the pass, doesn't take the shot, and now leaves it behind him for Phelan on the left boards. Phelan tried to give it back for Quinn, and a good stick by Hull to tip that into the neutral zone. Giampa turns around and throws this hard into the offensive zone. Morozov gets to it first on the far half wall. Morozov turns, pushes it in deep for Delic. Delic pinned in the far corner, trying to get free. RedHawks still with possession. Miami wanted a penalty. They won't get it. As now a wrister from the right point flies high for Michael Quinn. Delic still tangled up, and Delic's going to be called for a penalty here. He was working against Zinger. It's tipped up into the stands by St. Cloud. And Coach Delic has called for a penalty. Well, the RedHawks wanted a penalty in the far side corner when Delic was pinned against the wall for a few seconds after the puck had freed up, and then to the near side, he was tied up, and it looked like if there was any penalty, was being interfered with, but instead he's called for a trip as he hauled down the St. Cloud State player he was fighting for position with. And Miami's back to the kill here with 9:24 to go in the third. 3-2 Huskies. Fifth try of the power play tonight for St. Cloud. And again, they've scored twice already. Face-off win for St. Cloud, and they set up in the offensive zone. Smolinski plays it into the middle. Ernest with a kind of snapshot one-timer from the right side, and that's easily handled. But now the puck pops free in for a one-timer for the left side, and that is saved off the stick of Josh Zinger. Miami clears away. 25 seconds gone by in the power play. Step into the offensive zone for Noah Ernest. He wraps it around to the near side looking for Zinger, who twists it to the center point, but Smolinski couldn't seal the zone, and he's forced to back it out. Crosses his own blue line and now feeds Zinger, who heads across the M and into the offensive zone. Zinger gets his stick lifted by two RedHawks. Deputy tries to clear, but Zinger knocks it down. Now a shot wristed in through traffic by Smolinski. That bangs off the glass. Thorson walks to the net front, shoots, and save by Drobak, who holds on. Thorson got close, and now it's Miami's turn to push some bodies out of the blue paint. 1:05 remaining on the penalty to Coach Delic. 8:29 to go third period. It's still 3-2 St. Cloud as a second penalty killing unit comes out. Shots are 32-27 in favor of Miami. They trail by one. They once trailed by three. Hay versus Gross on the faceoff. This is the top power play line now out for St. Cloud after they started with their second unit, and Gross wins the faceoff. Pushed in deep by the Huskies. Lukashevich the first on it for Miami in the far corner. Three Huskies around him desperately trying to dig the puck free, and it does pop up to the point where Wiley plays it down the wall. McEwen all alone on it though for Miami. He fakes, buys his time, and then tries to fling it out. It was knocked partially out of the air by the Huskies, but luckily it does still trickle out of the zone for the RedHawks. 40 seconds left on the penalty to Delic. Hall controls on the near side, swerves up the ice, enters the offensive zone, leaves it just inside the blue line for Brnovic. Now Wiley down the middle with space, plays it off to the left side for a shot by Ingram in the circle, and it's stopped by Drobak, who hangs on with 29 seconds remaining in the kill. 3-2 St. Cloud. And Mateo Drobak has made a couple of key saves on this Miami PK as both teams shift lines again. Face off on the far side of the ice. And it's controlled by the Huskies. Ernest skates it to the left point and now walks down the wall. Played behind the net for Thorson. He's dragged up the wall by Kyle Lecoyne. Now the puck pops free for Smolinski. Dishes it down to the half wall for Roan. Smolinski center point. Pass off for Ernest. His shot kicked up in the air and a jumping glove save by Drobak. As that ball hit off the toe of, it looked like Max Helgeson, and then rainbowed in the direction of the net, and the big Mateo Drobak jumped over everybody to grab it. 5 seconds left on the penalty to Delic, and a D-zone draw coming up for Miami with 7.5 to play. Down a goal.
Yeah, this is where the face-off is really important here. Just maintaining puck possession for the last 5 seconds of 5 seconds of this power play for St. Cloud. St. Cloud is ranked 10th in the nation with a 54% face-off percentage. So Miami just has to luck out here.
Reiners is backed further up on the right point to account for Delic coming out of the box. St. Cloud does not want to give up a breakaway here, but the faceoff comes to Reiners. He holds the zone and risks a shot wide. Delic's out of the box. We're back to 5-on-5. Phelan twisting and turning for Miami. And gets it up the wall for Morozov, who lifted it ahead, looking to spring Delic in a potential one-on-one. It's gloved down, though, by Reiners, who plays it into the offensive end for the Huskies. Kyle Lecoin grabs it, lobs it out to center. Rainiers cradles it at his own defensive blue line. Plays it down. That would have been icing, but Miami's goalie, Mateo Drobak, came out to play it. And the RedHawks start from the back. Delic up the left side, cuts across through the red line, dishes it to the near side, not on the same page with Morozov, who had stopped at the blue line, and now Morozov makes his way the rest of the way into the zone. Does steal it away, tried to throw it out in front looking for Giampa, and that stopped short. And now the puck is shoveled out by Bernovic past the center red, and Rosborough plays it the rest of the way in. Bit of a fumble there for Michael Quinn. He's got just one player in front of him, though, and he goes D-to-D for Lukashevich. Tipped into the offensive zone by Doug Grimes with 6:19 to play. Grimes got his stick lifted and kind of got flipped around, but we play on. Lukashevich on the left point, across for Michael Quinn. Quinn drags, waits. He's got a man right in his face. He shoots. It's deflected in front. It's loose, and it's cleared out by the Huskies. Grimes was desperately searching for that in a sea of skates, but the Huskies found it first, and they rope it down the ice. It's icing against St. Cloud with an even 6 minutes to play. Huskies don't have their timeout. And Miami changes lines to finish up the change. Grimes is already out there. Stupka out there with him as well, along with Nasson, McEwen, and Lalonde. Near side of the zone. Face-off is controlled by St. Cloud. Pulled back by Smolinski, and he lifts it out to center where it's gloved down by Werner Miettinen. Big hit on the near side on a shot as he was entering the zone. McEwen laid him out. And now the RedHawks move the other way with some speed, but not numbers. 2-on-3 for Miami, and Stupka taps it in. Bufflin throws a blind feed up the near side, and the RedHawks have it. Nasson on the left point risks one on. There was some traffic, but it's into the St. Cloud logo on Berzin's chest, and he holds on. 5:37 to go in the third period. Miami makes their final push coming up next as they trail it 3-2. You're listening to Miami Hockey on RedHawk Radio. .537 to go, third period. St. Cloud State 3, Miami 2. Offensive zone faceoff coming up for the RedHawks, who have had a near chokehold on control of this third period. And pretty much the back half of that second, but they dug themselves in a 3-0 hole early, and now they still trail. Second line out there for the RedHawks. Smith, Helgeson, Deputy with a coin, and Phelan. And the RedHawks win the draw. Deputy, though, couldn't dance through traffic to get to the net front. Miami still with it. Phelan with a shot save. Juicy rebound there for Smith, but he was stick checked as the goaltender in Berzins recovers. Deputy locked up along the wall. Miami pulls it free. A coin on the right point. Across the way for Phelan. His wrister gets blocked by Ingram. Skitters in behind the net where Helgeson drives. Kicks out a coin. Left side. Gets a return feed from the boards, throws it through. Smith swiped at it looking for a tip, but it goes in untouched on Berzins, who freezes it with 5:07 to play. A lot more rotation for these top two lines Bench gets shorter for Anthony Noreen as you get further into this game, and the top line is back out there for Miami. Lukashevich and Quinn, who are listed on the unofficial line charts as the third pairing, but have been Miami's best two tonight, are out there with the RedHawks' top line of forwards. Face-off controlled by the RedHawks. Delic on the left wing. Leaves it along the half wall. Giampa digs it free. Forced into the corner. Cleared up but not out as Lukashevich holds the point. Thrown into the high slot. Just nobody there for Miami, but Delic forces Gross to double back. Now Hall along the half wall. Can't clear it out. Lukashevich sent a wrister in. He hit Delic right in the side. And it comes back out where Quinn takes a full-on slap shot to blast it back into the offensive zone. Delic turns and throws it on net. That's sticked away easily by Berzins. Puck in the corner. Pulled out by Brnovic, who walks it across. Gives it back to the near side where it is tossed through center by the Huskies. Miami still on it, though, and Morozov enters the zone on the right wing. Morozov trying to step around Zinger, but he's with him the whole way. And he tags him along the far wall. Now Rode chips it through center, and Thorson is on it for the Huskies. He knocks it off the far wall, looks in front of the net, and elects to throw it behind instead as the Huskies are in the offensive zone. Phelan takes it, lobs it out to center. Morozov settles down. Chip and chase for Miami as Morozov heads off. Kasper Nassen in on the forecheck. Thorson trying to go up the wall. Couldn't get it by the skate of McEwen, but now does on the second try, and Ernest has it in the referee's crease. Played through the middle, and now Thorson grabs it 2-on-1, developing for St. Cloud, but a good stick check for McEwen early in the process to prevent a rush for the Huskies. Ethan Hay banks it off the far wall for Miami. Doug Grimes tips it into the offensive zone. Bufflin gets back to it for the Huskies. Threads a long pass forward for Rode. Lane down the right side. Rode tried a shot. That is stood up by Lalonde, who blocked it in the high slot. And the RedHawks take possession on the far wall. It's grabbed and pushed out by Miami. Will go for changes with 3:15 to go in the third period. That pass through legs for St. Cloud. It goes down for icing. And now things get rather interesting. Down a goal, 3:12 remaining for the RedHawks, and we will see how long the wait is for Anthony Noreen to take Mateo Drobak off the ice. Hay, Helgeson, Smith with Lukashevich and Quinn. Drobak not exceptionally far out of his net at the moment. And the faceoff is won by the Huskies, who clear it to center. Quinn backs up on it and finds Ryan Smith. Smith dangles through some traffic, trying to get it into the offensive zone. He got hit hard right in front of the Husky bench, and he's a little slow to get up as the Huskies push it into the offensive end, and Smith is hurt. He heads right off, and the Miami training staff will head over to tend to him as Delic comes on to take his spot. RedHawks, meanwhile, have taken possession of the puck. Hay through center, left it behind him, and that allows Ashan to just chip it in for an easy clear. Lukashevich around his own net with 2:34 to go. There goes Drobak. RedHawks sent a pass through looking for Delic. He didn't get a stick on it. They iced it as they were pulling the goalie. 2:30 to go in the third, and right back to the goal goes Drobak as we skate 5 aside for now. Anthony Noreen is adamant that that puck was touched. He is standing with his front foot on the boards, pleading with the referee, Andrew Wilk. But nothing comes of it. Miami backed up in their own defensive zone here with 2.5 to play, down a goal. Face-off went Brnovic with a shot. That's way high. Took a deflection from the top of the circle and hits the protective netting. Miami changes their D pair. How about Owen Lalonde getting some important minutes here for the RedHawks as he comes out in his first career game. Kyle Acoin, the other defenseman for Miami, they keep the three forwards the same. It's the line of Morozov, Giampa, and Delic. Morozov gets tossed from the draw. Delic's turn now for Miami. Face-off controlled by St. Cloud State. Smolinski tosses it in. Cross corner dump. Redhawks get it out to center, and now the Huskies cough it up. There goes Drobak. Delic in down the left side. Chips it to himself in the corner. 6 skaters out for the Redhawks. David Deputy, the extra attacker. Miami sets up. A coin for the left side. Took a shot that was deflected. It comes right back to him on the left side. Plays it to the half wall for Mateo Giampa, who almost gave it away. That sets up a lane for a coin. He gives off Lalonde into the corner on the far side. It's Delic back up top. A coin for the left point. Center point Lalonde. Delic with a one-timer. That's blocked. Hall tried to take it and clear. Couldn't do so initially, but Gross does. And chips it partway down the ice for the Huskies. As Miami resets, it's given away in the wide open net after Lalonde gave it away. It's thrown off the post from just outside the blue line by Brnovic. The Redhawks then gave it away again, but the Huskies can't cash in. Deputy back to it for the Redhawks. 1:27 to go with Miami down a goal. Lukashevich flutters it through center. Morozov to the far side. Deputy skates into it for Miami. And the Redhawks caught in the midst of a change as a clear goes up the near wall. Lukashevich trying to hold the zone, and he does. But then it's whacked out with a hand pass by St. Cloud. The Redhawks, though, touch it up. And play continues on. Delic has it stolen away. Dangle now at the empty net. Ashan shoots. It's blocked, but the stick is broken for Quinn. And Ashan heads in and scores with 58 seconds remaining. That was not a good sequence for Miami once they got the goalie out. And just kind of indicative of what it's been like in Miami's D zone all weekend, just careless with the puck. And it happened again, and it bites Miami here on Saturday night as the Redhawks give up the empty netter with 58 seconds to go. Ashan scores it, and Miami trails 4-2. Sent into the offensive zone by the Redhawks. It's an unassisted goal. Drobak off again with the 2-goal lead. As the fans begin to file out of here, Miami trying to pull off a stunner here as a coin shoots. That's tipped in front, but a save is made. It's back up to the left point with 37 to go for a coin. Now Kasper Nassen down to the half wall for Ryan Smith. Smith drags and shoots high. It hits off the referee, almost caromed back in front. It doesn't allow St. Cloud to clear it. But now they go up the wall, and Gross takes it and gets it not out of the zone rather, as it was not held by Ethan Hay, who knocked it out of the air. The puck just barely escaped. We get a stoppage with 18.8 seconds to go. So neutralized draw coming up for the Redhawks with 18 seconds left. Face-off win for Miami. It's dumped into the offensive zone by Michael Phelan. Bufflin throws it around the boards. Shot from a sharp angle goes wide for the Redhawks. Lukashevich on it with 8 seconds to go from the point. Dishes it down to the half wall for Nassen. He wraps it in deep with 4 seconds to go. Deputy tries to force it in front. It's sent up against the end wall. Came back in front for Nassen. And he had a point-blank opportunity, but time expired. And that's it. St. Cloud State earns the split here on Saturday night as the Huskies grow into a 3-0 lead early in this game, and it stands tall. Miami with a comeback bid late, but Brett Larson's team ends their losing streak at 4 games, and they keep Miami under 500 in the NCHC with the win. St. Cloud 2-4 in the conference, same record for these Redhawks. And that brings Miami into a break in NCHC play with a special event coming up next weekend. And it stings a little more just because of the way you were playing in that third period. It felt like you were very, very close to getting that equalizer. It was only a matter of time, but talk about executing in key moments. You're finally able to get the goalie out, and just nothing happened from that point on for this team.
Right, the shots on goal, 36 for Miami compared to the Huskies with 29. It is very unfortunate to see, although they do come into the series with 2 out of the 6 potential points they could have earned. So as a RedHawks fan, you can't necessarily be disappointed in their action this weekend.
So the RedHawks earn the split. And again, they take a break from NCHC play. Their next conference series is on the road 2 weekends from now against the Denver Pioneers. Their next home series is the weekend after that against Colorado College. Some news to report, though, on our end for the RedHawk radio side is that we will be on scene at the Friendship 4 next weekend, and we will have broadcasts for you from Belfast in Northern Ireland as Miami participates in the annual tournament across the pond. The RedHawks will take on RIT coming up next weekend on November the 28th, Friday at 2 o'clock Eastern Time. And then the following day, depending on results, we'll take on either Sacred Heart or Union in the consolation or championship of the Friendship 4. Very excited to be bringing those games to you right here on RedHawk Radio. First road trip in a couple of years, and it takes us abroad for, I believe, the first time in recorded RedHawk Radio history at the very least. But tonight, Miami falls on this Saturday to St. Cloud State. It's a split on the weekend for the RedHawks. Final score, Huskies 4 and RedHawks 2. For my partner Aiden Sones, Luke West Poley signing off from Cady Arena. We'll take a break, and Will Salzarulo has your postgame on the other side.
You're listening to Miami Hockey on RedHawk Radio, and the series has been split. St. Cloud wins the second game of the series against Miami 4-2. That goal was an empty net goal from St. Cloud, and they buried it at the end of the third. Shots on net, Miami with 36, opponent with 29. Now this comes up with what I said earlier. Out shooting doesn't specifically mean that that you're going to score more often. It just means you have a lot more opportunities to score. Now, Miami has had a great PK, especially in the third period. They killed what could have been a momentum-changing goal twice. Miami felt like they've changed for the better mid-game. They felt like they woke up from a coma and they're back and ready to go. I felt like in the last half, Miami could not get out of their own zone. A bunch of rebounds, but Miami could not make the shot and make the goal. Overview for the entire game, for end of the first period, 0-1 in favor of St. Cloud, 2-3 St. Cloud, and the final score is 2-4. Miami with 15 block shots, St. Cloud with 16, Miami with 30 face-offs, St. Cloud with 45. Miami's record is now 8-4. St. Cloud's is 7-7. Matchups in the NCHC, Minnesota Duluth at Colorado College. The score is 0 across the board. Western Michigan at Omaha is 2-0 in favor of Michigan. Miami is going to Northern Ireland next week to play in the Friendship 4. And Miami is back at home December 12th and 13th, which brings a great end to the fall semester. This has been the full show for Miami Hockey on RedHawk Radio. I've been Will Salzarulo, and for Luke West Poley and Aiden Sones, thank you for listening. This has been Miami Hockey on RedHawk Radio.